Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Spitballing. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy
Kyle Amundsen.
And today we have a special guest, Aria Neal, in the house. How you doing, Aria?
I'm okay. How
Good.
are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited to have you. Kyle's daughter, Chloe, told us on, what was Christmas or something?
Yeah.
That we had to have you on.
Yeah.
So.
And and Aria was already kind of on my radar because we're Facebook friends, and I saw some of the stuff that you posted, and I'm like, the force is strong with this one.
Yes.
So
what do you do? What do you do for a living? What's your gig?
I work at a bank. I'm a teller.
Oh,
so,
sweet.
It's not like
Do you
really have anything.
Do you
to do
launder
with this,
money?
No.
That's a bummer.
Money laundering isn't really where the money is anyway. It's more like.
I don't know. I was just listening to this weird podcast about Jeffrey Epstein. I think it might be. So.
There's a new season of Ozark on, so so I feel like I'm an expert on money
that
laundering.
show stresses me the fuck out.
That's why Christine doesn't like it.
I'm not gonna say I don't like it.
Show.
Have you watched Ozark at all?
Yeah.
Oh
I have.
my god, it gives me like the gut.
But that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Really?
That's why I had to stop, because apparently I didn't realize that they'd only put like half the episodes out. And so I start watching the new season, and then I found out like only half the episodes were out. So I'm like, oh no, you're not gonna fucking get me. I'm not gonna have a fucking like a cliffhanger in the middle of the season. I'm gonna wait till the other fucking episodes come out, then I will resume watching the show. I'm not falling for that shit.
Yeah. I can't watch. That's how I watch pretty much every show. I don't like to watch anything. Right. I don't know why I started Boba Fett, because I can't.
Yeah. So are you caught up on Boba Fett?
Yeah, I am.
Are you? So I couldn't make it through the fucking episode where he's chasing the goddamn thing around the kitchen, the droid around the kitchen with all the knives. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Stop making one of the best characters in Star Wars into a buffoon.
Yeah,
I was just
this is what am I watching? Like fucking Kindergarten Cop.
But I heard there was like a really good episode after that.
I haven't. I'm only 1.5 episodes in.
Yeah, then I won't say much.
Yeah. Well, should I keep going?
It's
or
good,
fuck it?
but it's not good because of Boba Fett, I don't think.
Yeah. I like the kind of the deep dive into the Sand People thing, but
yeah, that is cool. I didn't realize the Sand People weren't like crazy.
I dig. Well, and for us to get some background on the Sand People after 40 years or whatever,
right?
That's cool. And of course, like I said before, being a big Tamora Morrison fan, I
think he's a good actor, but man, they're just making him say some stupid shit.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, stop fucking with
And
Boba
why?
Fett.
He's a serious actor. The first role I saw him in, Jake the Muss.
There's a scene in, I don't even know what it is, episode 5 or something like that, where he's chasing this fucking android around the kitchen trying to catch it, and it whips out all these knives and is whatever. And I was like, oh my god, stop it! This is just too stupid. You got stop it. So I was really bummed out.
Yeah.
Did you watch Mandalorian?
Yeah, I love The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I did too.
That first season, man, I sure did appreciate the second season better than I liked the first season.
I think it matured, but yeah, it was good.
Grew on you.
Yeah, cool. So obviously, this is a trying time right now, but I think one of the things we wanted to talk about today. Do you want to get into? We're just jumping right in.
Yeah.
Fuck it, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Spitballing.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Well, what do we want to talk about first?
Amir
Amir?
let's
Locke?
talk about Amir first.
Okay, that sounds good. And especially since we're fucking, I feel like we're probably all on the same page here. I feel like most reasonable people that I know are on the same page here. Well, except for, guess who? The fucking bootlickers.
Well, I don't know about the cousin fuckers.
Well,
there's a lot of crossover there, though.
There is so much crossover. But Amir Locke was a young man, 22 years old, and it was his cousin's place, right?
Yeah,
sleeping on the couch
at his cousin's place. Yep.
Sleeping on the couch at his cousin's, He is he's a legal. He's got a permit to carry,
or at least he legally owned a gun. I didn't read that he had a permit to carry, but he was in a residence and he had the legal right.
I've been told
gun.
that. I don't know where the information. I don't know exactly where they got their information, but I've been told that by multiple sources that he was permit or the out of current permit to carry.
And that's what I read too.
And he did legally own the firearm, and he's on his cousin's couch, and. The Minneapolis Police Department was executing a warrant on behalf of. Actually, they were executing 3 warrants in that same building, and this one in particular, at least, was on behalf of the St. Paul Police Department. Now, when I found out that St. Paul did not ask for a no-knock warrant, the warrant that they asked for was a knock warrant, was a regular daytime, like, hey, is he here? Like, a regular warrant.
So can we just explain really quick what the difference between a no-knock warrant and just a regular warrant is?
I think you've done some reading on this, so do it.
Well, I just today, I've heard of no-knock warrants before, but when you sent this to me, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So basically, from my understanding, if there's a warrant for my arrest and the police are going to come over and arrest me, they'll come up to my door just like regular civilized people. They'll give it a knock. If I answer my door, they'll say, hey, are you Matt Taylor? And I'll say, yeah, I am. Oh, we have a warrant for your arrest. Bam, I get arrested. So that's how most warrants are. But a no-knock warrant is typically for more violent crimes or whatever. More, what's the right word? Not even just more violent crimes, but bigger crimes, and
in whatever they deem to be a more dangerous situation.
Right. And in that case, it's SWAT that does it, and they come in, they don't knock, and they blast the door down, or they use a key to get in, and then they just swarm.
Yeah, basically
It's what you see on. It's the only way anybody's ever arrested on television shows.
Yes.
Pretty much. Where they jump in, there's a bunch of guys with guns, they're fully armored up, and they're like, get on the ground, motherfucker, get on the ground, right?
Yeah. So basically, instead of just giving you the opportunity to, say, over.
I am Matt Taylor. Okay, let me go figure that out.
They big dick the arrest and fucking turn it into some fucking. Here's the thing, I get that you. I would be really curious to find out what the numbers are, if that actually serves to make anyone any safer, executing it like that. I can see, I see why if you deem someone dangerous, you don't want to knock on the door and give them an opportunity to fucking shoot you through the door or something, obviously.
Sure.
At the same time, shit like this keeps happening, and what's the what was her name? The girl that
Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor, yeah. Shit. If it's safe, it's not that fucking safe, and and Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, is put that temporary hold on those. But this kid, it was 9 seconds. They used a key. They didn't kick the door down. So Minneapolis PD, the SWAT team, they use the key. They enter, and as soon as they enter, they're yelling, blah blah blah, Minneapolis Police Department, blah blah. We have a warrant, and so you see on the video, the body cam footage, which they released. They were very forthcoming. They were really fast about releasing the body cam footage. But the cop kicks the couch, which that seems to be what wakes
Amir up. He's sleeping on the couch.
Yeah,
he's wrapped in a blanket, and he has a gun on.
He has a gun on him.
I mean, he's in Minneapolis.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
He's sleeping in Minneapolis.
So he's smart.
Yeah.
He's also smart.
The proper, and the answer to the question, why did he have a gun on him? The answer to that question is, go fuck yourself.
Who gives a fuck?
It doesn't matter. Why
it's his constitutional right.
He's fucking legal. He can sleep with a gun up his ass if he wants to. I don't give a fuck. It's not my business.
Right.
And right. And you know what? I know a lot of people that sleep pretty fucking close to a gun.
Yeah.
hint, hint.
Yeah,
But right,
right, like
yeah, I'm very seldom more than a couple of feet away from a fucking
So
gun
they come into the
home.
house. They storm in. They're yelling, SWAT, get on the ground, whatever. This poor kid's sitting there fucking sleeping on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. They kick the couch.
Yeah.
Right? And he wakes up, and then they shoot him.
At which point, yeah. And you can see the gun, but you can also see that he's exercising perfect trigger discipline. His finger's not on the fucking trigger. It's right where it's supposed to be. It's not pointed up. It's pointed at the fucking floor,
Right.
And he gets shot. He gets killed right there on the spot. Now, 9 seconds from the time they come in the door. Now, okay, if you want to count that 9 seconds, that's fucking not enough time for somebody to wake up and clear the cobwebs when people are fucking yelling at him. I don't give a fuck who you are.
Well, the one thing I will say about the Minneapolis Police Department, this joke is horrible, by the way. Let's just preface it with that at least they shortened it up. I mean, it wasn't 9 minutes.
Right.
It's only 9 seconds. Horrible joke. It came into my head and I had to say it.
Yeah, fucking, so 9 seconds. So that's 9 seconds from the time they come in the door. Now, keep in mind, he didn't fucking wake up. Like, I don't know what the fuck what kind of racket that kid's used to fucking sleeping in. But, like, he didn't wake up till they kicked the couch.
Well, he was in Minneapolis.
Well, and honestly, like, I'm not the light sleeper I used to be. I'm not a fucking light sleeper. It's tough to wake me up.
Even last week, like, my fiance came home early from work. He dropped a pan from like the highest shelf in the kitchen possible, and I woke up and I just went downstairs and he's like, "You didn't even bring a weapon." And I was like, I guess I just was coming down to check. But then my roommate didn't wake up at all. The dogs were barking, that loud bang, nothing. She slept right through it.
Yeah,
right.
Christine tried to wake me up when she came home, when she got home from Florida the other night, and nah, like my first inkling that she was fucking
Not
awake
even
was,
for
like,
sexy,
I wake
huh?
up and nah.
Yeah.
I'm 50 years old. That's terrible. But goddamn, the first time, like, it was like morning, and I fucking reach over and I feel her leg with my foot, and I'm like, oh, she is home, and I'm like, oh, thank you for not like. You're like, oh, I didn't even hear you like sneak in.
Yeah, thanks for not waking me up.
She didn't sneak in. She tried to fucking wake me up. Like, whatever.
She was playing an accordion.
Yeah, no kidding.
No shit. And fucking, Minneapolis PD ain't got shit on Christine. Like,
So to make everything worse, this wasn't even the person they were searching for.
No. I think they were looking for his cousin.
I don't even know if that's true. Like, or at least what I read, that they were, that it was a
It might have been a stranger. Or maybe I just assumed that they were after his cousin.
Yeah, they never
because he was at
said
his cousin's
what.
house or
I don't
Didn't
think
they
that
say that the person they were looking, or like they went in there and they didn't find anybody that they were looking for? Anyway?
Yeah,
Right.
They didn't. Yeah, there no property, no arrests.
Okay.
Didn't find shit. Just this dead body here.
Now, yeah.
Ugh, which is tough. And then comes the fucking press conference. Okay. Because I'm bad with names, I saved some of the names and shit so that I could at least get that right.
Who are you looking for? The cop's name?
Yeah, the interim chief, Amelia Huffman. No, the officer that shot Amir, his name's Mark Hanneman. The interim chief, Amelia Huffman. I'm watching her in a fucking press conference, and she was the one that was like, and it's probably nothing, like, it probably wasn't her personally that was like, yeah, I better say this, like, the powers that be probably fucking, told her, well, you better fucking not admit to shit. But she's like, yeah, you couldn't see, it was pointed at the officer, you just couldn't see him, the officer in the, on the
video.
On the video, yeah. And I'm like, Officer Ant-Man,
Right.
like, where the fuck did the officer, was he dressed as an ottoman? Was he in disguise and he was like on the floor? Was he coming up through the fucking floor? Like,
Is this not body cam footage?
yeah.
If someone pointed a gun at any of the officers there, do they not have body cam footage of a gun being pointed?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like, yeah, where's his body?
You would think you would see the barrel of the gun.
Like one
Right.
video. That's
Like,
it.
you should have the barrel of the gun,
No.
not just the side of the gun pointing at the couch.
And it's so, and it's brutal. Like, she's fucking, I'm like, God damn it, you're lying. Like, we've seen the video. There's like every fucking frame out there, somebody has like circled the gun and shows like the trigger discipline, shows that he's pointing it down. No, don't get me wrong. Like, that would be a stressful situation. And like, I might take the shot, but it's not my job. You know, like I'm not a cop. Like
sure.
I don't have that training and shit.
Sure.
And I also don't know if this like necessarily falls on the individual like officer, because this is as far as I can tell, and I think like what the police like by watching the press conference and everything, and from everything I gather, I feel like this is the procedure that officer is trained and told to follow. Like this is the procedure. So my issue, I think, I'm pretty sure my issue is with the procedure and no-knock warrants themselves.
I think I agree with that, though I also think, and every time we talk about law enforcement, we always have to talk about training. And I think that's, again, this is another incident where if they were more highly trained people, this wouldn't have happened. And the example that I always come back to is like,
I mean, do you think that like there would have been a tighter grouping, or like?
I don't think training is good, yeah, but like any scenario where you need highly trained individuals to be executing it, does that seem like a great idea? Like, if the only time that
right.
You know
so
what I mean?
An example I think of is, let's say that that there's some terrorist cell or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. And so they know that they're going to go into the situation, and everybody, it's a, what do they call it, a free fire zone in the military, where everybody in this situation is an armed combatant.
Yeah.
So then, but when the Navy SEALs come in and do this kind of thing, right? They probably don't shoot at Amir. They don't need to, because they swarm in, they overwhelm, they're able to whatever. And that's because they're much more highly trained. They don't make as many of those kind of mistakes. It does happen, but it happens very rarely. As compared to, the SWAT team is pretty minimally trained, even though they're more highly trained than maybe, the regular officer. So I don't want to absolve the police officers in this situation, but I do think very much so that this is an example of a horrible policy and a systemic problem. Like, this is what the definition of systemic problem is, where it goes all the way back to the roots of the problem. Mm-hmm. And I think basically, I just think that no-knock warrants, I don't think that there should never be no-knock warrants, but I think that they should be as rare as, and give me a good fucking analogy.
Yeah, I was just...
like, I don't know. Yeah,
I put him right on the spot and nothing. It was just a slow toss, and I even knew it was coming, and I couldn't come up with anything. But I think they should be very, very rare, and they're not. They're very common.
Very common. Yeah, obviously, like if one department's like, hey, can you stop by and knock on so and so's door and pick them up?
Yeah, fuck it. We're gonna be doing another one. I'll just bring the SWAT.
Like, hey, I'll tell you what. I'll do one better. What if I fucking jump that son of a bitch while he's sleeping, huh? Like,
I'll even shoot him.
Can I do that? We're going to stick a gun in his face. I'm not going to knock on his door. I'm just going to fucking stick a gun in his face. Is that better? Fuck yeah, that's better. I just watched Mayor of Kingstown. Fucking dope. Sounds great.
Have you seen Mayor of Kingstown?
No, I haven't.
Also, it's pretty good too. But
there's a SWAT team in there that fucking are...
They do exactly that. They do a no-knock warrant. They go in, and the guy is like sitting there, and then they... Well, this is a little spoiler alert, by the way. But it's very early. It's
plug
very
your
early
ears if you haven't watched it, because it's fucking amazing.
It's
you want to watch
early
the show.
in it. But, yeah, so obviously the guy, he gives up, and then...
and the guy's like, pick your gun up. Pick it up. Point it up. No, towards us.
Up a little more.
Fucking, and then they all just blast
and then they
him,
blast
him.
And basically.
Which is not horribly different than the situation.
No, not really.
Except that guy was white, so.
He was Hispanic.
Oh, well.
I'm white. I keep track of these things. But no, although they did, those fucking those white power guys got cleaned the fuck up in that show too.
I'm not that far.
Awesome.
Come on now.
Oh shit! Damn it! Me and my spoilers. So yeah, god damn it. I feel bad about that now, but only a little, because I gotta take a quick side note. Let's talk about betrayal. MFT, Matt fucking Taylor. This week, it became FMT, fucking Matt Taylor.
It can be said either way. It's still awesome.
1883, betrayed.
You're such a pussy. Have you watched 1883? No, all we do is watch TV.
I watch a lot too.
We've got our shows like we're old ladies.
So I don't know. a month ago, 2 months ago, this new show came out, 1883, which is a really, really awesomely done
Super
Western.
fun. Yeah,
Is
great
it?
spin-off from Yellowstone.
Yeah,
Yes.
my mom keeps telling me to watch Yellowstone.
And
It's actually
Yellowstone
worth
is
it.
also really great, except for the last season.
I resisted because I was like, if it's that hyped and everybody loves it that much, it probably sucks. No,
So I
it's
started
awesome.
coming over on Sundays for dinner and watching 1883, and then Christine went out of town, and I fucking watched the rest of them without her.
Huh? Betrayal.
Uh-oh.
Betrayal.
Yeah.
We watch a show together. It's a
Hey.
sacred pact.
Yeah, well, it's really fucking good, and I couldn't handle it. So
I'm not gonna lie, I did watch 2 episodes of Boba Fett without my fiance. He still doesn't know.
Oh.
Right now.
But guess what?
He will.
He's gonna watch this.
Yeah. He's gonna know.
Now he's gonna
That's
know.
that's not the best
That's
way.
all right.
That's
we'll
not the
watch
best
it.
way to
we'll
come
just
out.
watch it.
It's all
when
right,
I
my
get
friend.
home.
I too have been betrayed.
So have you ever cheated and watched a show without your significant, but you can't admit it? So then you have to fucking sit through it again
And pretend, yeah.
But then you're like nodding off and shit because you've already seen it.
No, he does it, and he's bad because he'll be like, I'll be like looking at my phone. He'll be like, watch this, and I'm like, what do you mean, watch this? Watch this what? What does that mean? Have you seen this? How do you know I should be watching right
How
now?
does he know?
Because he's seen it.
Because he's cheating.
No, is it that? Or does he just know because he's paying attention? Because I do that with Christine, but it's because I want her to watch the show while I'm watching the show because I don't want to watch the show and then answer fucking questions for 10 minutes.
She does ask a lot of questions.
She asks a lot of questions. And sometimes they're great. But sometimes I'm like,
if you wouldn't have been on your phone.
If it's a question about the subject matter, like when we were watching 1883 and stuff,
Yeah.
she had a lot of questions about stuff in the Old West and whatnot, and stuff that fortunately Matt and I were able to answer, and it was kind of fun. But a lot of times, it's just stuff because she's not paying attention, and I'm like, we're watching the same fucking show.
For the
We
first
both
time.
have access to the same information. The playing field is level. Why in the fuck are you asking me these questions?
I feel like if he's saying, hey, watch this part, he's probably seen it already.
Yeah.
That son of
For
a
him,
bitch.
yeah, but he does that too. I mean, he fully watching it. I'll be on my phone listening, and be like, what does that mean? I'm like, this is the first time I've seen this.
And to be fair, I also if I'm watching something with her and I'm not super I'm not 100% invested in it, I'm going to be playing on my phone.
Yeah.
What it
It
is.
happens.
I might be the only person left in the world that doesn't give a shit about their phone, and I totally would give it up completely if it wasn't for podcasts and books. I can't get rid of my phone because I'm I have to listen to podcasts and books and shit like that. But other than that, I just don't care at all. And I would be totally fine without people being able to get a hold of me.
I mean,
See,
that would be nice, but
well-
that's the only part that would be nice.
At my age now, I feel I used to laugh at my dad for this, but now I am this guy. My phone rings and I'm like, ugh, fuck.
No, I totally, yeah. I'm like,
Who the fuck is calling me?
Don't call me.
Yeah.
Mom, I just talked to you a year ago. Son of a bitch,
yeah, I actually do the same exact thing, and then I always feel shitty because it'll be because very few people call me, so the phone rings and I'm like, oh fuck my ass,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, oh, Brock Larson, hey Brock, how are you doing? So I'm always excited to talk to him, but it's yeah, I do get
The
that
phone's ringing.
oh, I hate that.
I will call Matt 6 times a year.
I usually answer my phone if you
That's-
call because it's probably your furnace gave out or.
You
You put a post on Facebook about why does the furnace never.
Oh, that was not my furnace either.
I got that, but I was like, why'd that bitch not call me? I was like, how?
Homie
knows I'm the
A lot of
emergency
people
guy.
thought it was me. A
Yeah.
lot of
I
people
was
assumed
wondering,
that
too.
well, but it was just because every goddamn weekend
You see
somebody I
something.
know's furnace.
I know-
2 people this week.
Tyler, I saw a post that his furnace
Yeah.
went out and was looking for space heaters, but
Yeah,
I
and my
was-
friend Bo, his furnace went out too, and I'm like, fucking, does this never happen on the weekdays?
And-
I don't know anyone that's ever happened to on the weekdays.
That's
And
really
then-
not limited to the furnace either.
yeah, it's anything.
That's also true.
My ceiling started leaking in my house on Christmas.
That's my
It's
friend.
always Christmas.
Well, my friend Amanda, she was like, mine. She's like, my furnace went out on a weekday. She's like, but it was Christmas. And I'm like, fuck.
It's always Christmas, or Christmas Eve, or the day before Christmas, where everybody's like, it'll be $600 extra for me to come out.
which is
the holidays.
understandable. But fuck,
Yeah, like damn.
where's your Christmas spirit?
I should start like a only holidays handyman service.
Holidays and weekends.
Yeah, I'll only do holidays.
Yeah, the other guys can take care
Maybe
of that.
handyman.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So on your post, Kyle put a post out there about how furnaces only go out on the weekends, and then everybody was. And Tina said, "I know a guy," and I was like, "Bitch, I'm that guy. I'm your guy." Actually, I don't really know that much about furnaces, but I'm usually the one somebody calls when there's an emergency.
You're good at figuring shit out, though.
Yeah, I can usually figure it out.
We improvise. Now I got us way off track. we were talking about a tragic shooting, and and I start like talking about my goddamn my hurt TV show feelings, which it wasn't really a big deal. I got caught up last night.
Actually, he was
awesome.
He was pretty upset. he pouted and like stomped around a little bit. It was hilarious.
Yeah, but that's not
You
very
gotta do what
upset.
you gotta
That's
do.
just a little, that's
Minimal.
a minor thing. But
He
yeah,
didn't throw me through a wall.
that show is fucking amazing though.
I guess I have
highly
to
recommend
watch
it.
it.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really good, and actually, I think it's very hard, and this is probably just straight up sexist, but whatever. It seems like it's really hard for women to enjoy westerns. In all the times,
I love
it's been-
westerns.
Oh,
I mean,
well, good
I
for you.
like them sometimes. I guess
Well,
it
it-
depends on what.
It totally depends on the
This
western.
one
Yeah.
is like got a really strong female lead, and it's like really engaging for both men and women.
Yeah.
I mean, Christine loves it.
Yeah.
And-
My mom really likes it. She talks about it a lot.
It's-
She's always
I-
like,
I
"Have you
love
started
it.
watching it?" And I'm like, "No, Mom, I have not."
I wonder if your
I
mom.
work.
Do you know if your mom's ever watched Lonesome Dove?
I can
See,
ask her.
that's one that's pretty tough, I think.
I don't know. I think. Well, see, that one doesn't have the super as many
It doesn't.
super compelling female characters as a good western. Like
It's got
as,
the
as
one
H.
rape
Needy Dream.
victim.
Oh,
I mean,
that's true.
that's pretty much it.
But she's fucking great too. 'Cause she's badass.
What's it
But
called?
Lonesome Dove.
Lonesome Dove.
It's an old as fuck movie.
It's old. It was like from when we were
It's like
teenagers or something.
80s. You don't need to watch it.
But like
I bet you my dad's seen it.
it's a
He loves old.
it's a
movies.
great movie.
it's fucking. It was like a mini series, so it was like several hours long. And but that one, I'll tell you why women love that one, because
I don't think they do.
they do. I can prove it. They usually develop crushes on Robert Duvall's character.
Well, I mean, come on, it's Robert Duvall.
You know,
You have no idea.
Robert
who it is.
Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones played the
Tommy Lee Jones.
fucking these
I know that
guys. Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones is like a young, strapping guy in that one. I mean, he's
I
not
guess
that
I
young.
can
He's probably in his 40s.
Probably,
probably all right.
I was gonna say 60.
No, he's not that
60?
old.
I don't know. They're pretty fucking old. They
Well,
got like
This
know
was
what?
made
He
in the
probably
80s.
is.
How old is he now?
He's probably,
Oh.
he's got to be in his, I mean, he could be 90.
He's got to be at least in his 80s.
I mean, we could Google it, but fuck that. Let's just
he was
guess.
roommates with Al Gore in college, and how old is Al Gore?
That's a long time.
I wonder
ago.
if he tried on Al Gore's sparkly underpants.
Al Gore's not Mormon.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's the other one. That's Mitt Romney.
Yeah,
You know
Mitt
what though?
Romney.
Al Gore looks like he's Mormon. So.
Yeah, that's true. Could be. Fuck. Did we have? And I feel like that was a really bad time for me to inject TV
I do too
shows.
because we totally got sidetracked.
Yeah,
I'm here.
and I don't know what we have left. About
I don't know
the
really
whole
what else we need to
Amir
talk
Locke
to
shit.
about it, but I mean, if you haven't looked into it, it is quite a
Oh.
tragedy. And then also, like, fucking Minneapolis is back to like
Yeah, if it was
full-blown-
warmer out,
that. I
that
was like,
fucking city would have burned again.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep,
Fortunately for them, it's fucking February.
It's like negative 10 degrees.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, so I think everybody's
It's very
like, I'm going to
inconvenient.
stay inside where it's warm.
But I'm gonna save this shit.
And-
up.
They're
and
building.
everybody will go to court over this in the summer, and then we'll fuck shit up.
Well, that's true too, because somebody's gonna.
Well,
end up-
hey, another angle on that whole shooting. NRA weirdly silent.
Well-
What could it be about this guy that
Oh.
does not that
Doesn't fit the image.
isn't compelling for the NRA? I'm so fucking
Interesting.
curious.
So
Now there are gun rights. There's a like, I think it's like a specific to Minnesota gun rights group that our friend Mike Starry belongs to. That they have come out and they have fucking like they are the ones that are fucking like saying, hey, this is fucking bullshit. This is a legal gun owner exercising his fucking rights, gun down in a fucking home
where he was allowed to be.
Yeah. Like committing no fucking crime, where
not
there
even,
was,
not even accused of a crime.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, and I forgot to say this before about the police part of it, is that I think no-knock warrants are fucking dangerous, but not only for the people that are being arrested.
Yeah.
The thing about a no-knock warrant is you come charging into any person's house, and that person is liable to try to defend themselves. And it's like, that's a dangerous situation. Like, it's in an unnecessarily dangerous situation.
I mean, it's your first instinct. If anybody was to come through my front door, even my dogs.
Yeah, if somebody kicks down your front door,
my dogs would freak out and go after them as it is. And how do you
Oh, well, they shoot the dogs right away.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And
so
now,
yeah.
Just
and then
they came through my door.
And then you pull out the shotgun and start blasting, and it's like, well, that's not a great situation.
No.
And
no.
It's I mean, just what a tragedy when it's not even the right place, or it's not even the right person.
Yeah.
So speaking of dogs, you have an Akita.
Akita.
Oh, yes.
2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I stalked you on Facebook today. So you are so 2, and they're American.
American Akita, yeah.
So I read a book a while ago. I'm always reading books, but I read a book a while ago about, and one of the characters in it was was a guy and his dog was an Akita, and it was a really cool fucking. Is that what?
Yeah, that was the. Was that
something? God damn it! Kyle, we read so goddamn many books,
know.
but you read it too, right?
Read the same shit, yeah.
Yeah, and I would just the character in the book was so cool. I was like, oh, I really won't like these dogs, but I'm terrified of dogs.
Are you?
Yeah. I mean, I can be okay around them, but it takes me a while, and they are particularly scary. And then a friend of mine, I don't know if she was just fostering him or if she, I don't know, but I saw her at Caribou, and she's like, oh, you want to meet my dog? And I'm like, oh, I'm not great at meeting dogs, but maybe through the window or something. And she's like, oh yeah, he's in a how do you say it? Akita. I always want to say Akita.
It looks like that kind of.
Yeah. And oh my God, beautiful dog. But what's the difference between an American?
The Japanese ones are smaller.
Oh, okay.
They're much smaller. Have you ever seen Hachi?
And they all know karate.
Yeah, that.
There's that. Hachi.
Hachi. It's it was like a movie about a professor he found a Japanese Akita, and it would bring him to the train station every morning. And then he had a heart attack at work one day, but every night the dog would come back to the train station, wait for him to get home, and the dog just waited there, and there's a statue there now built after the dog.
Oh my
died
God.
there.
Come on.
It was it's the
You're
saddest
gonna make
thing.
Matt cry.
It was so sad. I mean, you said you have a hard time with dogs.
Yeah, well, I know, but I also cry very easily.
I don't know, but I
have shit
love
to
them.
do.
My mom has the male, and then I have the female, and then we have a baby.
Oh my gosh.
So they're mom and daughter.
I would really like to play with the baby.
The baby is the one that's gonna bark at you.
Oh,
the nicest one is the dad.
Oh, really?
He would just yeah, he's
that's like my house.
The biggest. My mom works at a liquor store, and he goes to the liquor store with her every day because people just love him. He just hangs out there.
Well, they're just gorgeous dogs. They look, if you don't know it, you should probably just Google it if you don't know what they look like. But they're kind of like a German Shepherd, but just
beefy and handsome, and
they shed a lot on
them.
You know what they look like? They look like a samurai German Shepherd.
Kind of, yeah.
Because they have this they kind of have this samurai build, like they're a little bulkier up
and they have
front,
a little
curly tail.
Yep.
Yeah, I really dig them.
I love my dogs. Yeah. They're nice, but
if somebody does a no-knock warrant,
they're
gonna freak the fuck out, and they're very protective. Right? They're very protective, and it's like a German Shepherd sized dog.
They're 100 pounds each. Yeah. My mom's is 110 pounds.
Yeah,
man. And people don't really. I don't know if people really appreciate, because people always exaggerate the size of dogs and stuff, and I'm like, do you really understand how fucking big that is for a dog? 100-pound dog is a big fucking dog.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, I understand that there are fucking dogs out there that are my weight. They're.
Ooh, I don't know about that, bro.
Oh yeah, I've
his
seen
weight.
Yeah.
Like fucking
those
huge
are
dogs,
called
horse-sized
like big
dogs.
fat mastiffs and shit.
Yeah.
I know what you're gonna say. Those are called cows, Kyle.
Thanks for saying it, because I was going to feel like an asshole when I did, but I still was going to if
no,
you didn't.
Like, there's giant dogs out there and shit, but like, you know, like I was talking to a buddy about pit bulls the other day, and I know like a big pit bull is like 70 pounds.
Yeah,
you know?
though they do have there's a new kind of pit bull now that they're called. But they're big, much bigger.
Yeah,
100 pounds, 110
we needed
pounds.
bigger pit bulls.
Yeah,
Of course.
Oh,
That was what was missing.
I don't have anything against pit bulls, but goddamn, like they
Yeah.
were badass when they were fucking 50, 60 pounds.
I have a hard
They
time with
definitely
them.
don't need to be any bigger
Yeah.
to be any scarier.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
In my day job, I am a social worker, and I like came and pulled up to a client's place one time. It was probably a year ago. Oh no, it's longer ago than that because it wasn't COVID. Anyway, and I pull up, and this fucking giant pit bull comes out of his house, and I was like, no, and he's like, come on. I was like, nope.
No, thanks.
I wouldn't even roll down my window, and he's like, oh no, he's friendly. Nope. Like, absolutely not. I am not.
So was Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, I am not cracking the window. Like, this is, you got to go put him away. But I mean, it sucks too. So, I just recently, so last episode, we talked a little bit about my get home bag. So I just recently took a trip down to California to, which was a blast, by the way, California in January. I mean, it was a trip. I worked. So a friend of mine, a friend of the show, Carla, she was even on during our phone COVID episode, but she hand dyes these fabrics, and they're just really cool fabric. And apparently people are ape shit for this stuff, like for making quilts and stuff. I didn't realize quilting was such a big deal, but it's a pretty big deal. So I loaded up this Sprinter van just plumb full of fabric, and then drove down to California, and then I worked at this quilt show for a week, and got to hang out at the pool, and it was awesome. But afterward, Aaron Lewis wanted to like go and see a friend of hers, and before we went home, and I said, yeah, cool, let's stop there. So we stopped there, and she just mentions as we're kind of walking up that she's dog sitting. And I was like, oh, Aria, I don't do great with dogs. And she's like, oh, no, he's really friendly. And I said, what kind of dog is he? Oh, he's a boxer. I'm like, oh, I do like boxers, but, still not great, but okay. So I'm kind of like behind them. And so, they open the door, and this fucking dog is adorable. It's got like, it's chewing on a toy. Its fucking tail is wagging. And they're like all loving him up. And I'm like kind of creeping closer to the front door. And he like looks at me and just right away, just
no.
And I was like, shut the door. I'm like, all right, I'll be in the van. Like I couldn't do it. And
it's because dogs are always like, when they fucking catch you slipping like that, they're like, this is gonna be fucking awesome. Like I'm gonna make this guy shit his pants.
Well,
basically,
they were he was pretty successful. I didn't shoot my pants, but I definitely pissed down my leg a little bit. But it sucks because like and she felt just horrible about it. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that my dog like did that. And I'm like, no, it's not your dog's fault. Your dog did exactly what it's supposed to do. It saw me. It could tell that I was shitting bricks. Well, there had to be a reason that I was afraid
nervous or something.
Right. So I was, ooh, that's not good. That guy's fucking afraid of me. I better bite him. And that's the right choice. It just sucks for me because I can't put that fear back in the bottle once it's out. And then I was a wreck after that. I was like, nope, okay. Like my heart rate is, I'm like, I don't have a heart attack. But it sucks. And then it's just, once that happens, I can't get it to go back to.
I never thought about that. Like at our age, like, I always think I would assume that I would die. Like if one of us was going to have a heart attack, it would be me from like a double whopper with cheese induced heart attack. But maybe it could be you from like
Dogs.
a goddamn boxer or like fucking,
And the thing is it never even dropped its toy, and it growled at me, and I almost shit my pants. I mean, it's horrible.
Damn it.
And the other thing, and then once I get really afraid like that, I can't like calm down. So then I like the dog's off off the table. Like I'm not a guy can't be around the dog. But then also it sucks because I feel like such a pussy. Like, God damn it.
Because it's a dog, I
it's
guess.
just a little dog. I mean, it wasn't a little dog, but it's just a dog. I like, why can't I, I'm not I've been in lots of like gnarly situations that I probably should have felt some fear in. I don't feel fear in those, but it's
that mauling that you
I got mauled out.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I got mauled.
It had to have been something.
Oh, yeah. No, I know exactly. Yeah, I had an experience. We don't have to revisit it, or PJ will fucking tease me. I got chewed up pretty bad by my own dog long time ago in his early 20s. But he was a chow, and he was only like
chows are mean,
I
though.
know fucking A, they're mean, but they're only like
Everybody's
40 pounds.
They're so cute, but mean.
Yeah, I kicked the shit out of me.
Which is
and their
weird
tongues
to
are blue.
me.
And they don't bark.
Can't get over that.
But they do growl. And they bite really hard. But anyway, yeah, so that's what happened. And then ever since then that I have that thing. But ever since then, every other dog I meet wants to take a chunk out of me because they're like, what the fuck's this guy all upset about?
Yeah.
So,
it's just like if you meet somebody and they seem off,
right,
like they're unsettled or whatever, and you're like, you must be up to something because you're fucking acting weird,
Right.
Well, that's exactly, I imagine, that's what's going on with the dog.
As a matter of fact, humans are really shitty at it. Like,
dogs are much better at
right.
it.
We do. Sometimes we get that feeling, and too often we ignore it, and we're like, oh, I don't want to appear to be an asshole,
or judgmental or something like
that. Yeah.
Well, in that they touch on that in that the book that I'm reading right now that you just finished,
the Disaster Diaries,
where people have learned to not listen to that their instincts and shit because they don't want to seem rude or something. Like oh, I got on the elevator anyway with that fucking weird guy that I had the terrible feeling about because
I didn't want to appear racist because he was a giant black guy.
Yeah.
Also, creeped me the fuck out and was a killer. Shit. I mean, but I didn't want to come off as racist.
Sometimes you gotta,
God damn it. Yeah. You got to listen to that voice.
To your fucking instincts, I
had this exact scenario. Not that scenario, but it was like a really, really weird guy came up and he wanted me to cash a check for him. And it wasn't signed. So I was like, I probably shouldn't do this for you. It was like $10,000. And I was like, I'm not going to cash this.
Yeah.
It has to be signed. He's like, I can sign it. And I'm like, no, you can't. It's not yours. And then 2 weeks later, the SWAT team arrested him, and he had all this bomb making supplies. And this was in this area. I'm not kidding. A week later,
I hope they executed a no-knock warrant.
Well, he was white, so he survived.
I mean, they got him in the middle of the street, in the middle of the day.
Damn.
The SWAT team, and I wasn't there that day.
Sad. They got him at the bank.
Outside of.
Oh, really? No shit.
Yeah, he was coming out of the post office.
Huh.
Where he was getting his bomb-making supplies delivered.
Interesting.
It was super
Note to self: don't use the postal service anymore.
You don't even have to.
Really?
No.
Huh. That's crazy. Yeah, no, and I think that's an important thing is to listen to that inner voice. But that's exactly what's happening with the dog. It's the same inner voice we have. It's just they have a lot better sense of it.
Yeah, and they can say it in 2 ways. Listen to it.
And they have teeth.
Yeah, they can say it in 2 ways, like bark, growl, bite.
Right.
Those are the ways to let you know something's wrong off with this person.
Yep. And the worse I get, the more they get. So that sucks.
Does the same thing happen with clowns then?
With clowns,
can they sense your fear? Because that is my only issue in adulthood.
Fucking everybody. Nobody likes clowns.
Clowns
sense
your fear, and they go after you.
I mean, that was my experience. Yes. Yeah, it was.
I don't it's been a long time since I've been around a clown, an actual clown. I'm around fucking clowns all the time, but I'm trying to think of clown experiences. I don't know if I've really had. I had one bad experience with a clown when I was a little kid, but he told me to fuck off. And I was
That's too many bad experiences with a clown, I think.
Well,
one.
So I'm not horrified of them, but when I see them, I kind of get the urge. I'm like the dog with Matt. I'm like, argh.
That's not what happens to me when I see the dog.
No, I mean I'm the dog. I'm the dog in that situation.
Okay, I got you.
I'm like, there's something off about that motherfucker. I think it's his nose. I'm gonna bite it.
So I wonder where that comes from. Why are so many people afraid of clowns? Do you think it started with Stephen King's
I think
It?
the weird thing is, why the fuck did anybody ever like clowns in the first place? Fuck, you know.
I think you're onto something there.
I mean, it
for
was
me,
like we
it's
tried to
literally
domesticate
the
something
paint.
that should not have ever even existed.
For me, it's the paint. And I think it was because I grew up in Cokato, and they used to have like a circus in the middle of the like baseball field every summer, and we went, and there was a clown standing by the door, and he had happy makeup on, but he was clearly very upset about something. And I was like,
I think that's the same clown that told me to fuck off.
right, probably. How many clowns are there left in the world?
Right? Like, and people used to like, I'm going to be a clown. Now you know it's a fucking fact. If you know somebody that wants to be a fucking clown, they are definitely a fucking serial killer.
and
Something's
I
wrong
promise
with
you.
them.
And then there was like John Wayne Gacy,
Yeah.
right? Who would like dress up like a clown or wear
Stephen
clown
King did not
makeup.
help.
No,
Yeah.
but I think that even so. That's what I'm trying to think. What is the
The catalyst.
the
here.
catalyst? Yes, that like started the whole clown phenomenon.
Stephen
But,
King just helped open our eyes to how fucking awful and horrible
horrible
clowns
they are.
really are.
Because
That's
it wasn't really a
interesting.
clown, was it?
Pennywise.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like.
I mean, he looked like a clown. Because
he
the
was
kids
a
were like,
demon, I
hey,
guess. Yeah.
clowns are terrifying.
Yeah.
So really, this was a kid
I
thing.
think they're fucking cute.
Clowns?
No,
Yeah.
you'll be on your own
Balls.
there.
Ah.
And I love balloon animals.
It's the face paint.
I hope a dog has to save you from a clown someday.
Yeah, right.
And the trauma thing will be over, and
I
you'll
mean,
be
if
like,
there
I
was like a
fucking love
clown
dogs.
on one end of the
Clowns
street and a
suck.
dog on the other end of the street, I would 100% go this way.
Oh man!
Running,
Well,
sprinting
you-
towards the dog.
Even if it was a giant pit bull.
Yeah, but
really, 100-pound pit bull. I'm
But
going this direction.
you don't have that innate fear of
That's
dogs.
true.
So not innate, because I grew that fear,
I-
but you don't have that
Yeah.
ingrained fear of dogs.
I actually probably wouldn't be able to move.
You'd just be.
I'd be frozen. That happened to me once in a what are the haunted houses where you walk through? Screamtown in Shakopee, I think.
Oh,
It was like a
yeah.
clown asylum, and I got towards the end, and the guy like got right in my face, and I was like, I'll just stay here. This is good. My sister's like, you should leave her alone. She's clearly having a panic attack. I was just like standing there, like, I don't know why I came in here.
That's an interesting.
Shit.
That's an interesting. So you're not joking. You really
would
do
really
have
just-
a dread of clowns.
I hate
It's not like
them.
just to like
No.
fuck clowns and
No.
the insane clown posse because
Oh
they
my
suck.
god! Yeah.
No,
have a
I
fear of
genuinely, like,
shitty
if there
music.
was one hanging out somewhere, like the whole thing where people were dressing up as clowns and like hanging out in the neighborhood.
that's what I
and
wanted
stuff.
to like.
Oh
Actually, I
my
was trying to.
gosh.
So when was that? That was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Something
where
like
the
that.
thing where people were dressing up like clowns and hanging out.
Oh yeah.
walking down the street and
remember
like
that.
lingering in the woods.
Yeah, and that I remember that, and then I remember that never really getting. There was no.
That kind of just fizzled.
It just kind of fizzled out,
Yeah.
right? What the fuck? Why were they doing that?
I think to torture people like
Just to
me.
be assholes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
If I ever opened my window and saw a clown, it would have been a heart attack. I would have died.
That's
Huh.
about the same
Probably.
time that they started getting plate carriers and Hawaiian shirts.
Who did?
Clowns.
Oh, play. Yeah, I can rock it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Just kidding. I actually have a friend that has flannels or that has Hawaiian shirts, and Lord knows I have a bunch of friends that have plate carriers.
Yes.
But that was a what are they called? What's that group? The what boys? Proud Boys.
Oh.
That was a Proud Boys shot right there.
Oh, and maybe I'm not smart enough. I still don't get it.
Oh, yeah, like because they.
I know who the
they-
Proud Boys
they-
are.
Yeah, because they show up in like March and shit in their fucking plate carriers and
Okay.
stuff, and then
I'm with
like,
you so far.
And now they've adopted like the Hawaiian shirts and stuff.
Okay, so I didn't know that part. Like, why are they wearing Hawaiian shirts?
Yeah. Because it's easier to take off than paint hair than clown makeup, but yeah.
Really?
Oh.
So they really are like marching in Hawaiian shirts?
Yeah. The Hawaiian shirts are a real thing.
And is that so? Is Hawaiian or if you were is a Hawaiian shirt? Is that like a dog whistle for white power?
I don't think it's a white power thing.
Well, or
I think it's kind of, but it's like a Boogaloo Boy type thing. So
I don't know what that is either. God damn it! What's a Boogaloo Boy?
so Boogaloo
You're
Boys.
like, do you know?
They're like
A little bit.
Not fully. I'm
okay, because you were laughing, and I thought you were laughing at me.
you
No,
know,
it's
like
okay.
the like shit, like shit hitting the fan, like Revolution and shit like that. You know, like the Boogaloo. You remember? We
I
talked
got
about
nothing.
this before. Man, I could have sworn we covered
Was
this
shit hitting the
before.
fan? Like you're talking about like end of
Revolution
timers
and shit,
or
you know,
like people want to succeed or
Like secede.
succeed.
You know, like
I always fuck words
that
up.
want like revolution and shit. You know, that kind of ultra conservative fucking crackpot movement.
Okay, so it's like a dog whistle for the alt right. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's just say that.
Oh yeah, all right. I haven't used that in a while.
But that's basically what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of alt right, this is a horrible segue. So,
Hey, your segue is all right with me.
God damn it! What's up with all the fucking puns on Facebook lately? Have you been getting
In regards to?
just everything? Like I've been seeing. Have you not seen that? Like every meme is all punny.
Do you not like puns?
No.
Well,
I
I
don't.
don't dislike puns exactly. I just am like, oh my god, why is everything? I maybe it was just my Facebook stream.
It could have been. I don't know.
But you got a good pun.
Maybe I'm not really paying attention to what kind of joke it is. Maybe I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's funny, or
Well, usually I have a hard time getting memes
oh,
or jokes.
you have to
in
like send
general.
them someone and be like, what does this mean?
Usually, somebody will have to explain it to me. I'll be like, this seems funny, but I don't exactly
A
understand it.
lot of people think
She's
this
like,
is
I have to go see Kyle in the Department of Memeology.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny that some that
My
I can't get
fiance is
it.
horrible with memes. I can show
Like,
it
can't
right to
get
him.
him
He's
either?
like,
But if you explain
I
it,
don't get
if you
it.
explain it to him, then
and then
does he
he's
think
like,
it's
it's not fun. Like,
Oh.
it's not funny once I explain it.
funny? Yeah. So if
He's like,
somebody's
"Oh."
like, no, see, it's because he's got a white shirt on. I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. But at least I get the punny memes. I'm just like, why? And I'm trying to think of one I just saw, but I can't remember it. And that's the worst thing is sitting there watching somebody try to remember a fucking pun.
Or a meme.
Well, my ex-wife Jess, my second ex-wife, her family were very punny, and
God.
it was really funny because they'd sit around at like Christmas or whatever, and they would just be like one pun after another, and you know it was pretty funny. But one of the things I remember her mom saying was, "If you use a pun intentionally, you go to the penitentiary."
Boy.
I thought,
wow.
I was like, Jesus Christ, that's so funny and stupid.
Yeah, just eye rolls and groans
Yeah,
all day
it was
long.
eye rolls and groans all day long.
It's a knee slapper.
Alt right, yes. So, I put a post the other day on Facebook with my support, love, and admiration for my friend and fellow podcaster Joe Rogan, and that went crazy.
I saw his, and I put a post up calling Joe Rogan an asshole. I didn't call him an asshole. It was like mine was just like, hey, watch this. Joe Rogan sucks, and like I'll watch all these guys come out of the fucking woodwork because holy shit, people really did come out of the woodwork in support of
With-
Joe. Like
oh.
that's cool.
Yeah,
you know,
people,
whatever.
but I think it's the fucking craziest thing in the world to me that Joe Rogan is a polarizing figure.
You know, it kind of is, but at the same time, you know, like I get like, you know, the whole, and I don't want to get too deep into the whole like fucking Neil Young and fucking Joe Rogan.
Well, we got to talk a
and
little bit
fucking-
about Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, but like,
Okay.
but just before we do,
Yeah.
like, do you listen to Joe Rogan ever? Do you have any opinions on him?
I mean, I didn't like to listen to him talk about anything. I never.
You don't listen to his
literally
podcast.
I know. I've never. I mean, I've heard it. I've heard parts of it. I've heard things from it, but I've never been like, I wonder what Joe thinks.
Oh, well,
I'm gonna
actually,
listen to him.
that's kind of the point of his podcast. Is Joe
Just what
doesn't
he-
do a lot of thinking? No, that's
Oh.
and that's not a criticism. It's like that's the whole point. Now, it's hard because it's evolved a lot through the years, right? But the original, and I mean, I'm speaking on Joe's behalf, but the original concept of the podcast was just like he just wanted to get together with his friends,
Yeah.
smoke a lot of pot,
Have conversations.
and have conversations.
and-
And that was it, and never intended to do anything with it. And then over a period of time, it started to get more and more popular. I used to listen to Joe Rogan back before he even did podcasts, when he would just I think he called them like late night rants. He would just get super fucking high and sit in front of his computer and say ridiculous shit. Like he just talked to the camera. And I just remember this one from, I mean, this is probably 20 years ago. Maybe not 20, 15, 18 years ago. And he was talking about, well, I can date it actually, because it was when Brock Lesnar wanted to fight James Toney. Yeah. Box him.
Yeah.
Or no. James Toney wanted to fight Brock
yeah.
Lesnar. And James Toney is like a amazing boxer, right?
But a little long in the tooth.
Yeah. But Brock Lesnar's a giant barbarian.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyway, and so he was just saying, "Oh, what are you going to do, James? You're going to shoulder roll? You're going to shoulder roll? Huh? You think a shoulder rolls? No, this is what's going to happen. That fucking Viking is going to grab you, he's going to slam you on the ground, and he's going to make you a bitch. And then he's going to put a stake in his yard, and he's going to chain you up, and he's going to make you do his laundry." And it's like, I just couldn't stop laughing. It was so fucking funny, right? So anyway, I've been listening to Joe Rogan for a very long time. And his podcast, when it started out, was just garbage. I mean, it was just him and friends and whatever, and I didn't listen to that because it was hard to listen to. But then, as he started to grow, he started to get a fairly big audience. He started to realize that he was able to actually have enough clout to, like, get people on that he wanted to talk to. Mm-hmm. And Joe, by his own admission, is just an idiot. I mean, he's not expert at anything other than mixed martial arts. I mean, and
comedy.
Well, yeah, anybody in comedy.
If you want to think, I don't enjoy.
Yeah, where is Joe Rogan done comedy?
Well,
all over the place.
That's his thing. Like he's a comedian.
He's a professional comedian.
So, I didn't know that.
When I first became a Joe Rogan fan, because I consider myself a Joe Rogan fan. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of his show, but like he was on one of the funniest fucking shows I've ever seen. It's called News Radio. It was back in it was a long fucking time ago, but it was brilliant. It was him and Phil Hartman and all these funny guys. And it was a great show. And then years later, he shows up on, he's doing like the UFC and fucking, and that Fear Factor show and shit.
That was horrible.
I hated Fear Factor. Love the UFC.
He hated Fear Factor too.
But, so I've throughout his career, I've liked him. I still like him. Like I said, don't love his show. But I think it's unfortunate what happened with all that, because like he started off like, and he still to this day tells people like, I'm a fucking comedian, like don't take anything I say seriously.
And you shouldn't take what he says seriously.
And I get that. No, my issue, like I do have issues with some of the people like Alex Jones and shit that he's,
okay. Like I give him an Alex Jones pass though. I feel like most people have gotten like totally bent out of shape about him having Alex Jones on the podcast.
But I mean, it's not just Alex Jones,
but that's the one that everybody can hold up.
Because great power comes great responsibility.
So it's okay. Here we got just hold on, motherfucker. All right. So he had Alex Jones on the podcast with fucking Eddie Bravo.
Hasn't Alex Jones been on the show more than once?
I think he's been on twice. But the one that I thought was so bad is with Eddie Bravo, because Eddie Bravo is also fucking crazy. Like, is a total Looney Tune.
Yeah.
Who doesn't believe in the moon landing and all of this crazy shit, right? So he's got these two guys on there, and Joe just sits and giggles the entire time. He thinks it's fucking hilarious. So was it responsible of him to platform Alex Jones?
Probably not.
No, but that's not his job. His job is not to be responsible. His job is to put on a show and be entertaining. But he wasn't sitting there putting Alex Jones out as an expert on whatever. He was like, this is going to be fucking fun. And god damn it, it was fun. It's one of the most crazy 3-hour conversations I've ever had.
I tried to listen to that one. But
actually,
I tried to watch that one. I was not.
If you feel like it, you should. And I think it's still out on YouTube, but somebody started animating little pieces of the Joe Rogan show, the Joe Rogan Experience, and there's a piece where if you type in YouTube Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, it'll come up, but it's an animated one, and it's so fucking funny. But anyway, that's it. He grew and grew, and now in the last 4 or 5 years, he's been able to have on some really awesome guests, like really high level, like, you know, I mean, basically he can have on whoever the fuck he wants. I mean, like, he had on Bernie Sanders.
Everybody knows who he is at this point.
Well, every show he puts out has 11 million people listen to it. Not 11 million of the same people, but every show has 11 million. Those are crazy fucking numbers. Those are crazy numbers. That's the nightly news does not get that. You know what I mean? And on top of that, they're 3 fucking hour conversations. Okay? So we're not talking about
like a little short period of time.
Yeah, it's not like, he's doing a little, he's not doing fucking between two ferns here. He's sitting down with people and he's having sometimes 4-hour conversation, sometimes an hour conversations, but the average show is 3 hours long and he's having deep, in-depth conversations with whoever the fuck he wants to. Now, the big issue has been recently he's had on 2 guests that were very controversial. And they are both controversial because neither one of them, both of them
Ebony integrity.
No, God damn it, that is not true. Both of them are, I don't want to say anti-vaxxers because that's not even the case in either one of these cases, but they are anti this COVID vaccine.
They're also like guys that I think they've both been on InfoWars. So like,
I'm sure,
these are more conspiracy theory,
so no
anti-vaxxer.
So it's Dr. Peter McCullough, who's a cardiologist, and he's one of the most published doctors in this field. That's just true. And the other one is Dr. Robert Malone, and he owns 9 patents in the mRNA vaccine technology, and had like he played a part in actually developing the COVID vaccine, an early part. Okay. These guys are legit doctors. They're legit scientists. They really are legit. They just don't agree with the current consensus on COVID-19.
Or at least
which consensus is
that everybody should be vaccinated. That's essentially it. Okay. They have some serious issues with the vaccine. Okay, now here's the point.
Or may really be looking to sell a book.
Well, sure, whatever. But regardless, these are not like this isn't just Joe Shit the Ragman out there. These are real guys with real.
These are definitely a step up from the voodoo doctor lady that remember her.
Are you talking about Clara or something? The one that
you remember the
where you call in.
No. Oh, no, not Miss Cleo.
Okay, that's why
that doctor that showed up earlier in COVID and stuff, and everybody was like, "Well, this, you know," and her video, like a YouTube video of hers, like started to circulate, and people like holding her up there, like, "Well, she disagrees. She doesn't think," and then you saw the rest of her stuff, and it was all about like fucking sex demons and shit like that. And,
anyway. No, these guys are even a step up from Dr. Drew, who early in the pandemic came out and was, basically saying this is not that big of a deal. It's going to be nothing more than a flu. And then he ate his words. But the point is these guys are legitimate doctors. And he had them on and he had 3-hour conversations with them. And people lost their fucking shit over it. But Joe just said, he's like, these guys are have a different view than what everybody else is saying. And I just want to have a conversation about that view because that's what he likes to do. Now he's not taking
which
a
is
stance.
Actually kind of fine in my book. I don't really have a problem with that.
He doesn't even know. He says, I have no idea if these guys are right. I'm not a fucking scientist. I'm not a fucking doctor. I enjoyed the conversation. And a lot of things that these guys have been talking about for a long time are things that now, like 8 months ago, you couldn't say. If you said that if somebody gets the vaccine, they can still get COVID and they can still transmit COVID. 8 months ago, that was an absolutely could not happen. Like that was like, and if you were saying stuff like that, if you say I think this is possible, they'd they deplatform you on YouTube or whatever. Well, these guys have been saying that all along, and That's just the way it is now.
See, I don't know enough about science. I don't know enough about COVID. I don't know enough about medicine.
Neither does Joe
to
Rogan.
really to say that it's irresponsible of him to have those people on. I probably would take Angie's word for it if she said that. But like, I don't. So like, I don't know enough about that to really make a good judgment and like pass judgment on Joe Rogan and shit about that.
Right.
The reason that I mention Alex Jones when we talk about him is because I do know enough. I feel like about gay people to understand that you should not attack them, and they're not having like orgies and murdering children and shit like Alex Jones is a fucking crackpot and a dangerous crackpot who advocates violence.
No chance. So I'm not defending Alex Jones, and neither is Joe Rogan.
Well, he's kind of putting him out there, like he's giving him giving him access to his viewers.
Okay, so we have to. I got to put a pin in that because then we have to get back with great power comes great responsibility, because that's an important point. Yes. It's the only valid one. Okay, but the problem. Okay, damn it, where was I at? To two doctors. The thing is that that's what everybody's freaking the fuck out about is these two particular episodes that most recently came out within the last year, where these two doctors are on. That is why Neil Young is left Spotify. That's why Joni Mitchell left Spotify. That's their issue. Okay, now.
And I was going to say a lot about it, Chris. We'll say
a lot. There are
quite
a few other others. Yes.
Has he not said his own? Like, I was under the impression, from what I read and from what I've heard and seen of his show, that he makes his own statements about COVID and what he thinks personally. He's
the first one to say, I'm not an expert on this. I'm not a doctor. I have no idea. This is what this doctor says. This is what this doctor told me. So he weighs the information. He has Dr. Rhonda Patrick on all the time, and she's fucking she's like an expert in all sorts of she was one of the very first people that was talking about vitamin D and COVID, and tracing that down or whatever, and they got into it about the vaccine, and Joe's like, yeah, I just don't think that I need it. I feel like I'm healthy enough, and I feel like if I get it, and she's like, Joe, that's fucking irresponsible. And they get into it, and it's not like he cut that out and didn't whatever. He was like, yeah, okay, I hear what you're saying. I just don't feel that way, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, he'll put it out there, and that's his,
what was the whole business?
That's his right?
What was the whole business about telling younger people who are in good shape and are healthy and to that maybe they shouldn't be getting vaccinated either?
I think.
Did he say
when
that?
When we start parsing actually the vaccine, then it gets a little dicey, because I think that.
Okay, but
I think we
fine,
really should be thinking about whether or not but he's not the one. He's not saying, I, Joe Rogan, think anybody under the age of 22 shouldn't be. No, but he is asking, and I feel like I'm talking for Joe, but he's asking questions like, why are we not talking about health? Why are we talking about trying to give everybody this thing? Why are we not talking about actually increasing people's health? Because one of the main factors was vitamin D deficiency, which came out later, and now that's accepted science. Well, Dr. Rhonda Patrick was one of the first ones that ever brought that up, and back then that was voodoo bullshit. And it turned out to be.
Was it though?
Yeah, really in the very beginning. She was on oh, and I would also like to say Joe Rogan was one of the very fucking first people that rang the COVID bell, because he had on Osterholm, way in the very, very beginning. So I'm just saying he's all over the place. But the point is the reason that these musicians are leaving is because of these two particular episodes, not because he had Alex Jones on. Everybody you could have been pissed off about that, but you should have been pissed off about it 3 years ago when he had Alex Jones on, which that show has been pulled, and he was okay with it. He was like, yeah, okay, Spotify, I get it. If you don't want to have that fucking quack on, that's cool with me, right? So they leave. And he put out a thing, and he kind of explained where he was at on that, and that's what happened. And then
India Aria.
Okay, puts out a thing.
Yeah. No, she didn't. She just shared it.
She put out a thing on Instagram. I watched it. Yeah.
But I mean, she just shared it, something that somebody else had already made.
She put it on her Instagram and said, "This is what's going on."
Yeah.
But let's take a quick pause so we can get into that.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Spitballing. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy
Kyle Amundsen.
And we have Aria Neal again in the house. Okay, so I was in the middle of my Joe Rogan rant, but
we're going to talk about the most awkward subject in fucking America.
Yes.
Is it?
But,
What is
Well,
it?
I think so. Oh, you have no idea what we're talking about?
No.
Oh, I
was just wondering what is the awkward topic.
Oh, race. Yeah.
Well,
is
racism.
we're going to talk
awkward?
about the N-word.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't
the
make
N-word.
me feel awkward.
Oh, good.
Well, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, you say. You tell us.
So Indy Irie shared a video, which was a cut-up clip of like every time Joe Rogan has used the N-word on his show, and which sounds fucking ridiculous. Like, who just fucking uses the N-word? Now, here's the thing. What it's missing is the context.
I can see you raising your hand.
So, like, let me fucking tell you, Kyle.
I can see your finger going up.
Let me tell you about last week. So here's the thing. What it's missing is the context. So it's times that, like, Joe Rogan was, like, quoting someone or, but at no point, like, none of those instances are times when Joe Rogan was like, well, this N-word cut me off in traffic. Like, it was all shit
Exactly.
that was in a context that I feel is reasonable, and because sometimes I think it's silly, and I've changed on this. I've gone back and forth. I've talked to people about this too. Now, I had a friend, and I wish that I had a better fucking memory. I should have, like, taken some, like, went back on Facebook and taken some notes, but she explained to me why, because it seemed weird to me. I'm like, why is there a word that my friend can use and I can't use, like, even if it's in a different, like, even if I wasn't using it in the same context, because it's an awkward fucking word, and, like, it's an ugly word when used in a certain context. Out of that context, it's still awkward as fuck.
Depending who it comes from.
And the fucking first really awkward experience I had with this word was probably like 25 years ago. It was when I was in college, and it happened, like, I was often the only white guy. So, like, in my buddy Descartes, he would. And I'm going to use it in context just for the purposes of this story. And if that's not okay, I am sorry, and I will fucking change it, and I will not use it. But Descartes would say, like, oh, because my nigga Kyle, and then he'd catch himself, and he'd be like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything by that. And I'm like,
yeah, like me.
oh, like, why would he think that I, like, would be offended by that, And that fucked me up, and because, like, he was using it like a fucking term of endearment. Now, at no point was I attempted to be like, this is my. I wasn't going to, like, introduce him as my, N-word. But, like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, why would he? It's the same thing that he would say about any of the rest of the guys, but I'm the white guy, so he, like, apologizes to me. But then I'm like, oh man, is it because he thinks that, like, because white people have used that word in such a fucking ugly way
that you think that it means that too?
Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, man.
That's
like,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh no. Because I was always like, no, dude, don't. It's all right, And when because I'm not going to be like, no, please, call me.
Yeah.
It was so fucking awkward. And because I never thought anything of it, and it didn't fucking offend me. Any term of endearment that someone uses on you is going to be good with you, Like, it's...
yeah, I mean, when I grew up, my mom always used to, like, she was really good at, like, saying horrible shit and like, but they would turn, she'd call you a dipshit, and you'd be like, oh, no.
Come here, dipshit.
Yeah. Well, she wasn't really nice about it. No, she'd be like, no, I mean, like, serious. Like, she'd be like, oh, you dipshit. But it would be like, oh, Ma loves me. You know what I mean?
I don't even remember what your mom looks like. I only remember I only picture Kathy Bates.
She pretty much looks like Kathy Bates. Yeah. Yeah. Well, only Kathy Bates in Dolores Claiborne, like the mean Kathy Bates.
Yeah,
I always think about the gangster lady in Goonies.
Anne Ramsey from Throw Mama from the Train and the Goonies, and then a little bit of Roseanne Barr. Right? You put all those together.
And that's your mom.
That's my mom. Yeah, Roseanne Barr without the racist rant.
So
well, then again, it depended on the day with her.
When I think about that, like if I was trying to tell that story, and I was telling you DB would say Manaka, if I could replace that with like N-word, that seems unwieldy and fucking awkward, and like it takes away from the story, and I don't feel like I'm harming anyone because of the context in which I'm using it. Right. Now
which is great because now somebody's going to edit together all of the times you're getting the clip.
They're just going to get that little fucking suck, and so but then again, not my word to use, which is why I'm perfectly fucking okay with not using it outside of a very limited context, because it's a fucking ugly word. And is it not my word to use? Okay, you can use it, but I can't use it. I accept that. I'm okay with that. But there are certain contexts where I feel like, okay, I'm not able to use your word. Okay, I feel like I think I got a few other privileges out of the deal. Right?
I think I'm okay,
right?
I mean, I always thought of it, like, I was even talking to my best friend about this, because, like, yesterday we were going to not Starbucks, Caribou, and we were talking about it, and I was like, I just wonder, because I literally woke up, and the first thing on my Facebook was somebody just arguing with me about, like, how come certain people get to say it and other people don't? I'm like, if Dan ever woke up and was like, hey, bitch, he would immediately get punched in the face in bed. In bed, he would get like bloody nose everywhere. Like, he could never say that to me. She, though, at any given point in the day, could say, like, come out of the woodworks. If she calls me a bitch, I'm not immediately going to be like, what the fuck did you mean by that? You know what I mean? Like, so that's the way that I kind of think of it. Like, in certain people, you would never want to take certain, words or criticisms from, and other people, why they might be saying it, or like it's a term of endearment, like I said. Like my dad, even everybody in my family thinks of the word differently even. Like my mom, she doesn't have as much of a problem with it. My dad sometimes does, like if someone's saying it, he's like, hey, you don't need to be saying that.
That's
you know what I mean?
I have, I've got friends that, among my black friends, I've got friends that it's every other word out of their mouth.
And then some it's like,
and I've got friends that are like, no, I don't use that fucking word.
Yeah, it's gross. Exactly. Like my grandparents and stuff, they wouldn't. And I almost edit myself unconsciously, even around them, where it won't come out. Or like swear words, even. Like, I don't know if there's certain people you get around and you're like, oh, I shouldn't swear around my grandma or whatever. It's like they just stop coming out. And so I guess that's how I feel about other people. Like, really, honestly, say the N-word all you want to in your house. Like, I don't care. I don't want to, like, to me, it just makes me feel uncomfortable when I see people not trying to edit out of their vocabulary. You're not even trying. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, it has nothing really to do about the context and, like, how often did he say, like, the video is like 4 minutes long, right? Like, holy cow. Like, how many times is this a necessary
Did you actually get to see the video?
I saw like half of it.
Of the one that she put up, or that she posted.
Wasn't it like super long?
Well,
maybe it wasn't.
It wasn't. I don't actually know how long it was. I watched it though.
No, I don't have a problem with the video either, and not just because I'm like we know I am a fucking huge Aria fan. But I get why I understand why you would fucking share that and not be okay with it. I also understand the context thing, and
okay.
Context is great,
right?
But
exactly.
like I said, how many times is it because he's like, I only said it to enhance the story, or I only said it in a certain. It's like, how many times did that word need to enhance your story over the last however many years?
12 years.
Yeah,
And
that's a lot. Like, I don't even need to see it.
That 12 years and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of podcasts. So they put together all these times when he would be saying, like, they're talking about Red Fox and, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
now,
that's
you
right.
also have to remember
too.
that this hasn't happened in a long, long time.
Yeah.
So he evolved.
And I don't even.
And we all have. And, I mean, everybody evolves. And he put out a...
Yeah, I've got to give him the same...
He put out a really thoughtful, I thought... apology.
Yes, I thought.
Now
it was great.
you didn't think so, but
I wasn't impressed with the apology as far as apologies go, but
I thought it was think that
thoughtful
as
just
you could possibly
just critiquing the apology end of it, because overall on the video, like what he had to say, I agree with him.
Right.
I just didn't think that because I'm very particular about apologies.
I me too, and I was like, man, you fucking nailed it.
I think the only thing that was weird about it was that they removed all these episodes and then he came out on air and was like apologizing. I feel like it could have been like a fluid thing. Like they could have done all of this. He could have been like, I'm going to have these removed because of the things that I have come up and that I've been made aware that they were bad, instead of like silently removing them and then a couple days later coming out with
Let me ask you
that
this.
Actually,
the way
that's
I
not
used
exactly
it,
right though.
The way I used it in my story, and don't be afraid of hurting my feelings. Like I
Okay.
said, if I fucked it up there, I will own that. Do you did you find is that offensive the way that I used it in that story?
I feel like we're having like a real in-depth conversation surrounding this word, but I think the difference is like if I had walked in here today and you guys were like chatting and you just let it fly whenever you wanted to, like without even considering like, look, there is a black person here.
That should always change it.
Like, yeah, I just
if I think both Kyle and I, if somebody else were around us, another white dude who was dropping the N-word,
I feel like
we would bitch slap him.
Yeah, like I just feel like it's about consideration.
I would,
more than anything.
I would say, dude, I just can't tolerate that kind of language around me. Like, shut your fucking mouth, or I'm gonna break it off.
Yeah.
But I've gotten mad. Actually, one of your coworkers and I were out one time, and a dude was like, well, it was actually another black guy, so it was a weird situation. But I'm like, don't fucking talk to him like that. And I got mad, and I'm like wanting to fight this guy. Actually, I was tussling with him a little when the cops showed up. And I handed him. I was able to hand him over to the police. But where was I going with that? But yeah, I have that shit. It shows up it pings. It fucking grates. I mean. Like I said, not in a certain context, but when somebody's just throwing it around, even if it's like we have a lot of around here, even if it's like a white kid that seems very convinced that he is able to say it because he feels very black,
or where he grew up in the hood.
Oh yeah. Actually, that's the kind of.
Is that your least favorite?
By far.
What do you mean? What's your least favorite?
Like the whole hometown homie who's
and they're not just dudes, I've seen it with girls too, where I'm like, why do you talk like that? I've known you since you were 3. You've never lived outside of Pillager.
Right.
Sometimes I watch TikTok lives, and there's a lot of debates on there. They're garbage debates, but I pass time drawing on my iPad, whatever. So this girl was on, and she was talking about, people were like, why do you talk like that? Why do you use that accent? Especially since whenever your son comes in, you change the way you're talking. And she's like, listen, how would I teach my son how to speak if I talk to him the way I talk to you guys? And it's why don't you just talk normal to everybody?
Right?
What kind of
who the fuck are you?
And is this a white woman?
It was, and she was wearing box braids in her hair, just like this. So there's a lot of reasons I stopped on that one. I was very concerned about what's going on with her, but then she said my 3-year-old, he has to learn how to enunciate, and if I talk to him the same way, how would he learn? Like, why do you choose to speak in a way that makes you sound stupid then if you know that you shouldn't talk to your son that way?
Damn.
Yeah.
People are just, they walk right into their own walls of stupidity.
People who have grown up around here who have never, been anywhere, yeah, and then you're like trying to affect that. That really drives me crazy. That's my least favorite.
It's fucking brutal. Brutal.
Just give me straight up hillbilly racist, and I'm happier. I'm happier with that because at least, I maybe can't handle it, but at least I understand it. The other one, I just don't get it at all.
Right? I mean, you're fucking ignorant either way.
Right.
At least this one, I can make out what you're saying.
Right.
Because you're butchering the shit out of that too.
I really do. I want to touch a little bit on his apology. I took some notes out of it. I'm going to quote a little bit of it.
I know what I said about it was weird. Like, as far as apologies, like I said, as far as apologies go, I didn't love it. I loved like the what he had to say. Like, I love the whole thing.
The problem that we usually have with apologies is they only apologize. They don't actually apologize. I feel like he absolutely
I'm not a fan of
and tried not to make excuses for himself. So I'm just going to read a little bit about what he said, and then we can talk about. I have a couple different things. Okay, so this is not in its entirety, but I tried to take the excerpts and I tried to take them word for word. So he says, to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, especially publicly on a podcast. And I agree with that now. I haven't said it for years, but for a long time, when I did bring that word up, like if it would come up in a conversation, instead of saying the N-word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. So that's exactly what you were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah.
But again, that was years ago, and then he realized at some point along the line,
perhaps he was too free with that.
Well, I mean, he was.
You get to a certain audience level, and it's not about what you mean anymore, and it's more about how people are like understanding what you're saying.
Agreed.
Right.
Perception over intent.
Right.
Kind of.
So I think he was saying like, "Hey, I didn't," So I thought that was legit. Okay. And they said he was also talking about how there's not another word like it in the entire English language because it's a word where only one group of people is allowed to use it, and now I don't think he's coming off as saying like I'm pissed off that I can't use it. And they use it in so many different ways. Like
which you see people salty about all the time, which is weird for me.
What's that?
Which you see people salty about that. Like, why can't I use it?
Yeah, and I don't think he was salty about it.
Interview with who was it? I think it was Denzel Washington. Somebody was like, "How come you say the N-word so many times in your movies?" And he's like, "Oh, it was Samuel L. Jackson." And he was like, "What word?" And he was like, "I don't want to say it." And he's like, "Well, say it. You want to say it? Say it. I'll say it with you." It was the most awkward thing ever.
That's interesting. It's interesting because Samuel L. Jackson actually got into it with Quentin Tarantino
over it
on in Pulp Fiction over it, and I was like, that was interesting. And I mean, Jesus Christ, I can't believe Quentin Tarantino can still make a goddamn movie. Nobody, I mean, like, how are they not canceling him? And actually, I really
it was pretty egregious. In Pulp Fiction.
I really I thought Django Unchained was a fucking really excellent movie, and I mean, like, I thought it, I thought it was.
I think when you're doing it in art, your actors will let you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say when it comes to like a movie. Okay, have you seen on Netflix what is that movie, The Cowboys, the Black Cowboys that just came out?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking
I started watching it, but it was pretty.
It
was I wasn't loving it.
Not a lot of people
I'll probably finish it, but
what was it called?
It was called.
I can't remember.
I liked it a lot. I watched it a whole bunch of times, but the one thing I can say about it is that parts of it didn't seem realistic because the language they used was very dialed back. Like they didn't. Not one time used the N-word in the entire movie.
Oh, right, okay.
Even though everybody was black, and it's very obviously during a time where there would have probably been some type of racial tension. Yeah. So I was like, it seems a little weird that they don't use the word at all.
There was a couple of things about that movie that I was like, it's kind of awkward for me. I'm going to finish watching it because it's a Western, and I eat that shit up. But I wasn't in a hurry after
it came out.
Well, and I think I was excited because what's his name? The guy that probably going to be the next James Bond. The fucking. He was a kickboxer, really handsome brother.
Are we talking about the guy from Atlanta?
Huh?
The guy from Atlanta?
No, the English guy.
The English guy.
I know what you're talking about. I can't.
He just got out of prison in the movie. They like broke him out or whatever.
English guy.
He's a little older.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba, yes.
Yeah.
That guy's.
He does good in that.
That guy's fucking awesome. He's good in everything. Like I'm kind of a fan. So I was pretty excited, but then I was like, I don't even like his character.
His character's good.
But
the movie, it's good. But what I will say is that it didn't seem like the Django Unchained when it came for that. It was like, wow, it was like way too much. Like there's a fine line here. Like
I just love Django Unchained.
It was great.
Jamie Foxx got to just fucking kill all the white people. It was just,
I like that movie
fantastic.
Anyway, and some people didn't like the use of the word so much
because
they did it.
Tarantino does. He just
he pushes boundaries with pretty much everything.
But and then there's that too. I mean, he's like actually trying. I mean, he's doing things for a reason, I guess. I don't. He also really hates Bruce Lee, which is interesting. Okay, I'm just gonna finish this rest of this quote because we're talking about how because it's a word that only one group of people are allowed to use, and they can use it in so many different ways. If a white person says that word, it's racist and toxic, but a black person can use it as a punchline, as a term of endearment. In lyrics to a rap song, it can be a positive affirmation. It's a very unusual word. And then that was what he said. But then this is what I loved when he said, but it's not my word to use. And I'm well aware of that now. But for years, I used it in that manner. And I never use it to be racist because I'm not racist. But whenever you're in a situation where you have to say, I'm not racist, you fucked up. And I've clearly fucked up. I loved that. How can that not be a great apology?
Because
that is this is what I want. The quintessential apology is I fucked up. Where's the but?
You know what? Let me tell you about the best apology I've ever heard. The best apology I've heard is, "Hey, I'm sorry."
Well, he obviously says that as well.
No.
Yes, he does.
The best apology is just "I'm sorry," not like here's all. Let me explain.
So you
but
you want to come out and just say "I'm sorry"?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Whenever I've ever heard, like even specifically my fiance, if he ever goes, "Well, I'm sorry," and then like I'll be sitting there.
Let me qualify my apology now.
Happy with that sorry, and then he goes, "It was just," and I'm like, just don't. No more. Yeah. No more words after that.
I get what you're saying, and I don't think that.
But I don't think people would have thought that was a full apology.
But if he would have just came out and said, "God, I'm really sorry about that," that would have come off as a total. He had to explain that he's not. I don't feel like he was justifying what happened. He was saying,
not even just
this is no. I don't think so at all. I think he was saying this was the context, and I know that it was fucked up, and I fucked up because it should have never been said.
Like in your apology, you don't ever have to explain why you did it.
Or when.
Because then it's less of an apology and it's just an explanation.
I mean, you didn't need to add
you cannot like his apology? I thought that was fucking
I didn't like the apology. I liked his apology overall. I just didn't like the apology part. I didn't feel because I understand the whole context thing and stuff. Obviously, I understand it. I just did it. Like I used it.
Right.
No, I didn't use it. I don't use it freely.
Well, I don't think Joe Rogan uses it freely either.
No, and he's and he in that thing it's been the newest one of those was fucking 5 years ago or something. Now. And when we talk about people evolving and stuff, I was in a position where I was defending Neil Young the other day, and which I'm not a huge Neil Young fan. I do whatever, his integrity compelled him to leave Spotify or whatever because he didn't agree with Joe Rogan's choices on some shit. Great, that's fine. I see that as an integrity move. Respect, I get it. Now then, somebody posted a fucking. A quote of his where he used an ugly slur in referencing a homosexual, and it was from the 80s. But I was happy to see that the first comment on that was, so you don't think people fucking you don't believe in fucking people evolving and shit like that, and that's 30 years old, And that made me think. I'm because I thought too. I'm Do you know who else used that fucking word a lot in the 80s? This guy, you know? And I'm like, yeah, you know, like fucking, so would he use it today? No, he fucking wouldn't, you know? Did he use it in the 80s? Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So like, that's, you know, and that's not fucking really, that's not related to this per
What
se.
bugs me about this whole...
I have to allow them the same, like, that was then, this is now. Like,
right.
Does he fucking still do it?
Okay. I guess, yeah, but in this instance, if I was to think back, like, what was 5 years ago? What was going on then? Like, it wasn't like everybody back then was out, you know.
No, it wasn't the
Yeah.
8.
It wasn't like the hot word.
But on the other,
you know, 5 years ago.
Again,
or
it
anything.
wasn't like he was saying. It's not like he was calling people the N-word. He was saying it inside context. Like one quick example,
quoting people and stuff like that. You know, like
well, that or like he was actually talking. We talked about it on the podcast, but where the fucking Netflix executive like was talking about the R word.
Oh yeah,
and then he was like, "Oh my god!" But he said, "Man, I didn't realize that people with developmental disabilities are as sensitive about the R word as other people are about the N word." But he said the R word and the N word, and he said it like in that context, and then they fired him over it. And he was like,
that seems a little weird to me too. A little more understandable, because at some point, like even I feel silly saying things like we're like adults sitting here having a conversation and we're saying like
N-word.
R word, N word, like all, like that seems fucking.
Should I say the
weird to
retard
me.
word?
Right.
But the point is that right now. But the thing is there's such a huge difference between that. I like to bring that up as an example because there's such a huge difference between those two words, right? Both of them are offensive to certain groups of people, but one of them is
one of them used to be the preferred and acceptable nomenclature,
right? And also has other uses. I mean, you can like literally say the paint that I put on the paint that I put on the wall retards, fire.
Yeah.
Transfer. So it's a real word, but the N word has never been that. It's never been anything but a hateful word when coming from a white, from a white person directed at a black person, because. Right? Can black people use the N-word
directed towards white people?
Well, no, I know that they can. They
do.
But like,
doesn't make
can they use
sense,
it derogatory? Can it be
What do you mean?
derogatory? Like I can't say the N-word and it not to somebody. I think I can say in context without but I can't say it to somebody without it being derogatory. It's impossible. It just doesn't work.
I mean, I think that like you can absolutely, but like it all goes back to where like how I feel about it. How willing are you to edit your vernacular when you're around people who, whether you agree or not, might find that term offensive?
Right.
You
well,
know
and
what
I think that the
and
answer to that question is 100%. Like,
and I think the same thing goes for Joe Rogan when he's sitting behind a microphone and his platform reaches every different type of person. He has to think like, some of these people might not love that term even out of context, and so you kind of weigh the decision. Do I want to maybe risk saying something that might offend a bunch of people, or do I not want to say it?
And I think he has made that judgment and made that change.
Which yes,
5-6
and
years
like
ago.
I even with this whole thing, like when I commented on like Facebook, there was an article or something, and I just remember saying, wow, it's crazy how quickly people come to the defense of people who say these words, even when the person saying it is like, what I did was wrong. But you still got all these people going, he should be able to say whatever words he wants to. He's like, he himself is saying that he apologized.
He won't even use it like I just used it at this point.
Exactly. But people get mad at him.
He is right. So that's the point, is that he is the one who's saying, yeah, I totally fucked up. I never, like, the shit that I said was fucking stupid. It was ignorant, and I was wrong about
And
it.
I think that's
I
where I
didn't
respect
intend it to be racist, but if I'm in a situation where I have to try to explain that I'm not being racist, then I fucked up. I clearly fucked up. That's the point. So he's owning it, right?
I mean, I thought about it, I was sitting there thinking, because everybody's like, oh my gosh, you think he's a racist. I'm like, I never once said Joe Rogan was a racist. Look at what he's done in his career, in his life, what he does. Even in the UFC, do you think he just goes around just calling everybody? You think he's never been punched in the face by a fighter for saying the N-word? Like, just casually?
Jesus,
like, just think about it.
One of his
like,
best,
I don't think he's racist.
One of his best friends is Dave Chappelle.
Exactly. So I'm not out here saying, like, I think he's a racist, but...
I was thinking about how hard it would be to be, like, really, like, bigoted in the mixed martial arts world. I mean, like, really fucking difficult. It would, it seems to me that it would be fucking horribly difficult in that fucking line of work, no matter what level of the business that you're in, and no matter what your fucking job is in that industry.
To be a bigot.
To be a bigot. You know? I mean, fuck, it's hard in martial arts altogether.
So,
to be like...
What you were saying is that you don't think Joe Rogan is a racist.
I don't think you have to be racist to do racist things at all.
That's what I think.
Like, period. Like, you don't...
Like, just because you have said something
Racist
that
things.
comes off racist, or that was racist, because if it comes off racist, it's racist.
Even if you
right?
have been a racist before, doesn't mean you can't not be a racist in your life.
I had a friend tell me pay me a strange, it seemed like a weird compliment. I had to think about it for a minute. She was like, I love that the whole time we've been friends, you've never had to ask me, is this racist? And I'm like...
Right.
And I had to think about it. I'm like, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's actually a fucking great compliment. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, my fiance, obviously white man, but...
Oh, I didn't know that was obvious.
Oh, did you not?
No.
I mean, I just feel like there's not many
we
black
stalked
people
her on
around
Facebook.
here. You did stalk me on Facebook. Come on
I
now.
saw a picture of you and your fucking dog. That was the extent of it.
My nephew... Anyway.
So it wasn't a deep stalk. It was just a light. It was like a tickle.
I just thought it was obvious because
it was just
there's
a
not
tip
a ton
stock.
of like
it was just a tip
black
stock.
people here. Like when I see a black person, I'm like, oh my god, like a black person. But no, he told me a story like a year ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this was such a thing for you. But like when he introduces or like talks about me to his coworkers, none of them know that I'm black until like I show up, and they're like. And he will, like, literally, his boss came up to him one day and was like, I can't believe that all this time you talk about your girlfriend, you never ever say, like, she's black.
Okay,
That
so did that
happens.
bother you? Or
No,
was that a
I
good
thought it
thing?
was, like, super, I was like, wow, that's, I guess I never thought that he was, it didn't bother me if he was or wasn't explaining what I was, but I was like, wow, he's really not going out there going, my girlfriend, who's black, even to his boss is black. You would think if the opportunity was
that's interesting.
Once it's not germane to this, like once it's not germane to like the subject anymore, it becomes like not a fucking thing. Now, I was thinking about, I've thought about that myself. Like at one point, whether it was important to the story or not, I'd be like, oh, well, my black friend,
Yeah, it's like,
but like unless that's like a needful piece of information to the story, you don't fucking say it anymore, But then but when you make your first black friend as a white person, you're probably like, hey, I got a black friend.
I mean, he grew up in Cokato too, where there's like in my graduating class, there was 3 black people. So like he grew up in that kind of a city too, where there was like no black people at all. And he kind of like radiated towards our family when we moved there. We were like one of the only black families there. But I think it's weird that literally his boss didn't ever think to be like, is your fiance black? Because he was talking about how I have to do my hair and how it takes like 7 hours. And he's like, wait a minute. Is she black? And he's like, yeah, I guess she is. And he's like, you didn't feel like telling me? I mean, it's like not the most important thing about her. So I don't, but even like my best friends, like, I don't know. I feel like some people will be like, I have my black friend.
I ran into that problem writing, because we, like, Matt and I are in the midst of this like writing project. We're kind of like collaborating on we're writing our individual stories.
We're writing a shared world. We're writing in a shared world.
So I've got this character and I'm so far into this, and then I had to go back because I'm like, shit, later in the story it becomes important that this guy's black. So I'm like,
You have to make it
how
known.
the fuck am I going to go back and like and
Right.
install this?
Because we've talked about this
without being
before,
like,
because
this black
you
guy,
can't,
like, and I'm like,
right. So like if it doesn't matter what race he is, then fuck it, just don't ever mention it. But if it is important, you can't mention it
Too late on.
because I've already developed a picture of who
the
this guy is
character,
in my
yeah.
head, and
Now you
I
just changed the whole
cannot
thing.
change from you know
From like a white dude to a black dude.
yeah, like
Like, this is
like so
hard.
I had Brad Pitt.
I just went back and changed his name to Jamal. So.
I had Brad I had Brad Pitt playing this character, and now you want me to switch it to Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
Fuck you! I can't be doing that. You know.
Kidding.
So yeah, so I think that is important. That's interesting. Well, I like what you said about the whole thing that like just because
You do something.
you do something that is racist doesn't make you racist.
I think a lot of people
but it
are
makes-
racist and don't even like when they do.
well, there's
racist
the other
things,
part of it though.
They don't realize it's.
Well, see, that's racist
for
though.
sure.
I
And-
mean,
and
no, it's.
people
I mean, I don't know if
understand.
it is. I don't know if I consider
well, maybe not. Like I
ignorant
can.
racism racism.
So we had an interesting conversation, like one of episode 4 or something with Ace Colley.
Oh, okay.
And he's a black guy. You probably know him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, probably.
But he
You've seen him at the meetings.
he came from Miami,
okay.
right, and then moved to shithole Minnesota, and we were talking to him about it, and I asked him, I said, well, so do you think Minnesota is more racist or less racist than Miami? And he's like, oh, it's not even a fucking contest. Minnesota is way more racist. And I was like, wait, what? Really? And he's like, yeah, but see, it's like,
And we don't think of ourselves like that.
are you kidding? We're Minnesota nice. We like everybody, right? But it's the more, what's the rate? I wish I could remember what his words were for it, but he's talking about how it's not overt. It's
Oh my gosh, that's the
covert
biggest- that's
the
racism.
biggest-
Is that the right word?
And
Yeah.
not even necessarily, and usually not like hostile. Like
You want to know the biggest one I get that
Yeah.
people? I'm like, God, that's such a racist question, and everybody I tell is like, I don't know. It seems like it's just a.
Well, hit us because we might not think it's racist. Let's see.
Is that your hair?
oh,
Is that your real hair? Can I touch it?
he was
What
like,
does it feel like?
I didn't realize
It's
this.
like, what do you?
Well, he and I like we go out and like we used to like I haven't in a long time, but we'd go out and party and like go out to bars and shit
Oh,
like that.
guys,
We'd go out
we
together.
have to take a quick break because I have to. We're gonna run out of time. We'll be right back, and we're back.
Oh, sorry.
No, not at all. I just didn't. I wasn't sure how we were going to do that. But yeah, like I was telling you, Ace. I was fucking blown away when he told me that people would just come up and feel his fucking hair, and I'm like, strangers in the bar.
People you don't know, never met before.
Yeah.
We'll never speak to again.
And I'm like, where is your fear of black people, you fucking weirdo?
Right. They're afraid of them in like every other context, like in the grocery store.
Right? That's the way it seemed when he was telling me about it. I'm like, we're talking about people that like would cross the fucking street because they're fucking weird and they're afraid of you, but they'll come up and touch your fucking
It's
hair.
the weirdest thing ever that they're like afraid of you and afraid to offend you, but also not at all afraid to do that same thing.
And we started that when and that's when we got talking about like awkward white people, and because Ace and a couple of our other buddies, when we go out and stuff, we would do a thing that we came up with, where like because people are always trying to make like, hey, I'm gonna go over and make friends with this black guy, random strangers, and I'm like, and so I would be like. And sometimes it gets weird and uncomfortable and tedious for them. And I would come up and be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? And they'd be like, and I'm like, these are my black friends. Like, I didn't march into the goddamn hood and risk my life to go get black friends so that some other fucking dude can just run off with my black friends. Go fuck off. And I would we'd do this, and people would be like, confused and fucking staring and shit. Super funny for us, though.
It's fun. Me and my best friend every now and then in front of people, like, she'll be like, "Oh no, just don't get yourself killed. I don't have time or resources to find another black friend." So. and everybody will be like, and I'm like, "It's fine. I get it."
See, we're slowly creeping towards a more civilized world when it comes to fucking talking about race and shit.
I mean, that's how it feels maybe that's just my view on. I have talked about it forever. for like as long as ever. So maybe that's just how I feel all the time.
Well, I mean, it can be, it can be, I mean, it is what you make of it, like it can be awkward to talk about. But I've gotten to the point where I kind of like talking about it because, like not talking about it doesn't fucking get you anywhere. And,
ignoring it doesn't.
Yeah.
Pretending it doesn't, it's not there. Like, that's more annoying when I hear people's like, oh, I don't see it. Okay, well, it's there. It's very much an issue I deal with on a regular basis. I can pretend I'm not black, but I am.
I kind of have two minds on that whole idea, though, like of the whole I don't see race. I think that should eventually be our goal. That like the color of your skin should be no more of a
no more significance than the color of your eyes.
Yeah, or what color hair you have.
But I think
Bob Marley's
a
better singer than me. Just in case anyone was still wondering.
I don't think the answer is not going to be not seeing it. It's just like see it and just like we see blonde hair, like some people, you know what I mean? Like it's not like don't see it, appreciate it, but just don't call people. You
were telling the story. Were you telling that on air? I can't remember. We had the break, but you were telling about how your fiance like never like mentioned it to his boss,
but it came up eventually.
But it wasn't like he wasn't like, hey,
guess what?
My girlfriend, she's black, by the way. Like that. Like it wasn't necessary.
And I think it's even. Double props to him because his boss is black. So you'd think like if he was gonna walk up to his boss and say anything to him, he would have been like, "Hey, by the way, I noticed you're black. My girlfriend, also same color.
It's all right. I'm cool.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, exactly. Like, I give him props for that because he didn't do anything like that. But
that is the kind of awkward shit that like you see like, like I was talking about like the awkward white people conversation. Like, just so you know, I'm cool. Like.
Awkward white people conversations. I'm gonna always have the best ones, I think. I'm not kidding. And some of them happen like here, and that's the thing that it's like, wow, you can't escape it. This lady one time told me, she was like, I used to pick cotton on fields with the other black people, like, right? And she was like, she looked at me. I'm not kidding. She looked at me in the eyes and said, "You never want to pick cotton." And I was like, yeah. She looked at me and said, "You never want to pick cotton," like as if I was like looking.
Did you? I feel like that's well established.
Yeah, no doubt. None of them wanted to pick cotton, right? Like, so I was like, she was trying to make it seem like she was like, "Yeah, I know about your hair and stuff like that because I was always around the black people. I used to pick cotton. Trust me, you don't want to do that." And I was like, even my coworker, who is usually giving people the benefit of the doubt for their like weird comments, was like.
Jesus.
Okay. You know what? That is the weirdest. You did win that.
That you pretty much won.
It's a weird thing. I've heard it from everybody.
Damn.
Do people ever like think you're somebody famous?
My mom all the time. Yeah, they used to do that to her. They used to always like if she gets her hair braided, they're like Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys.
Like they actually think she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, more people. I think that the one that's like, this other black guy, you probably know him.
Right.
Yeah. Know them all. I've met them all. Especially the ones in this area. We have that meeting we go to.
Like I said, the meetings. You see them at the meetings.
It's where I get all my angst for white people.
Yeah, but why is it that it's okay for black people to gather in meetings, but when us white guys gather around,
right? All we want to do is hang out and burn a lowercase t.
We dress up like ghosts. It's all fun. It's all just in fun.
God, that's the funniest part of Django.
All of a sudden, we're
when they're all on the horses,
and he can't.
I can't fucking see this thing.
Like, are we wearing the hoods? Or are we not wearing hoods?
How about no hoods this time? Hoods next time. It's so stupid. Like, can you imagine that dumbass conversation?
I think we are not going to do one this time, but we usually do though we should have thought of one.
I know. I totally spaced off the.
We do a thing called Mount Rushmore. We try to every episode, one of us will put out a Mount Rushmore. So, like, for example, like I think our first one was like what are the what's your Mount Rushmore of actors? So you have to pick 4.
Oh.
Whatever.
Yeah, we did.
But
we've done like Disney movies and shit like that.
I was just thinking Jamie Foxx. I keep on wanting to like redo
Jamie Foxx is in your.
I think he definitely could be.
We can do a Mount Rushmore. Your favorite Jamie Foxx roles.
I probably.
Ours would be different.
I'm really really waiting.
I don't love that question.
Yeah,
it changes.
Well, that's the problem. Is that and then every time. But I was just thinking once Tyson comes out, he probably will make it up there because goddamn, I can't wait for that.
We'll see. He's fucking got to play a bunch of cool shit.
I think he's
and
gonna be
like
a fantastic
when you go from like
Tyson.
really ridiculous like comedy roles and shit like that.
I'm not very serious
And
acting.
now you're a fucking like super legit serious
and he
actor.
can still do comedy. Like he's just a really good actor.
Literally Channing Tatum for that reason the other day. I was like, what the heck did he go from being like he was like Magic Mike and then I was watching 21 Jump Street and I was like,
so
how
fucking
weird
funny.
is this? Like
he's so good. And who the fuck plays dumb better than Channing Tatum?
nobody. It was perfect.
I don't know who that is.
What,
like, help me out.
21 Jump Street?
I've seen 21 Jump Street.
He's like the super
Johnny
hunk.
Depp.
That's fuck. What else?
What are you not? Which part do you not know? Who
I
Channing
don't know
Tatum
who
is?
he is.
Who Channing Tatum is?
I'm sorry.
Have you seen Magic Mike?
No.
Oh, good God. Okay, what about? What is he in? He's in all kinds of stuff. He just played the bad guy in something. He was going to be Gambit. He was going to be Marvel's Gambit, and then he decided not to do that. I can't remember.
Shit! I can't believe you know. He's a big
He's a big name.
He's a big
That's
deal.
why I'm wondering why you don't know who he is.
Well,
he was in Step Up.
I'm
He was
kinda
in like
dumb.
Step
He's
Up.
been in like fucking rom-coms. And, like, he's like athletic, so he's done.
These
like, all
names
kinds of
do not
physical
sound
stuff
like real movies.
But that's
I don't
why-
know what you're talking about.
That's why it's so weird. Like he started out with like he used to be a stripper, then he got discovered because he was a stripper. Then he was in like Magic Mike and like these weird little dinky ones because he was like.
So he's
cute.
like a poorly built guy.
Well,
Like people were like, he's so hot. Like let's make him the romantic interest in
and
it.
he's like the. So first he was just like the sex symbol guy and shit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like they realized that he could fucking really super. Like,
He's funny.
He can act
Like, he's
and he
funny.
and he can do the shit out of comedy.
Yeah, so he became funny. But I was watching that the other day and I was like, this is so weird to see how some actors get to where they are, especially like they come from nowhere.
And we've got we've got one, and I think he's a really good instance of this. Goddamn Keanu Reeves, who like
Keanu Reeves.
is like
He's an
I don't know,
amazing
like
person.
our age or something, but like our whole lives he's been in like. He's been in these movies, like, at first he was in, like, a cool, serious movie called River's Edge and shit. And then he was, like, in the fucking
I
stupid
forgot
ass...
about River's Edge.
Which is a great
That was
movie.
a great movie.
And then he was in, like, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which sucked, but whatever.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I
I
fucking
have
hate
never
those
seen a
movies.
Bill
Keanu
and
Reeves
Ted's.
movie that I can't that I say that I don't like.
He's just
Bill and
been in
Ted's
so much
Excellent
different
Adventure was
stuff.
great.
And now he's, like, at
can't forget-
such a huge
you can't
star,
forget
like, at the
John
pinnacle.
Wick.
And then he fucking
Dangerous
shows up.
Liaisons.
Dangerous Liaison.
He was horrible in that. He couldn't act at all.
he's like evolved.
It's like an Elizabethan,
God.
like very.
Well, even
like,
in
Wasn't
River's
he,
Edge.
Egyptian at one point in one of his
Oh yeah, he played
what I'm
the
talking about?
Buddha. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember. He looks weird.
What's the name of the Buddha?
Couldn't tell you
shit.
that.
Well, anyway, it's pretty good actually.
But
I
like,
don't know. I can't remember.
even in River's Edge, which was a serious role, like they were like, okay, so you're like this, you play this like burnout teenager dude.
Yeah, basically.
Oh wow, weird.
He was in Parenthood.
Oh
Remember
yeah.
Parenthood? He was the burnout teenager in Parenthood. Yeah.
And-
He's been in a
But like,
ton.
so much stuff, and then like goes.
I don't
into
know that
action
he's ever
movies and all
really
shit.
gotten that to be that great of an actor, though. I did really like. I mean, I like him as a. I
love
like him
him.
as a human. I like him as an
He's a
actor.
fuck-
He's just-
everybody loves him. He's a fucking great dude, apparently.
He's an amazing human being.
he was really good in The Matrix, Last Matrix. I really liked.
But my favorite thing
you
that
like
he
it?
was in,
Yeah. I did.
because he was already such a big star. Have you seen "Always Be My Maybe" or whatever on Netflix?
Yeah, always be
I've
my maybe.
seen- I think I started watching it.
Okay, you really should watch it. It's great.
Just
It's a good
for-
movie. It's a kind of a funny like rom-com.
He plays
but
himself.
Keanu Reeves
Oh
has a part in
gosh.
it as Keanu Reeves, and it's awesome.
Oh.
It's really good.
I love him.
Yeah.
Well, you'll love him more if you
because
see
of,
this movie.
Even like my fiance's like all of those stunts he does all of his shooting and all that. Like he can do that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's super impressive. I don't know about you, but like watching John Wick and knowing like he can actually
actually
do some of the stuff that he was doing.
Yeah, I took up jujitsu.
So I do a style of knife throwing called no spin knife throwing, which is like where you take a knife and you throw it kind of like you would a baseball, so it doesn't spin, it just whatever. And if I'm ever trying to explain it to somebody, I have a John Wick scene like favored in YouTube, and I'll be like, oh, like this. And there's a scene where he like literally like just is whipping these knives, just sticking them, and it's no spin knife throwing. It's a style of knife throwing. It's pretty cool.
He's the coolest.
So you are thinking about doing your own little podcast, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to do?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's just because I always have like an opinion.
Yeah, well, it's
about
good.
Something. It might not be like the right opinion about something, but it's mine.
Oh,
like
well, you
mine,
know, you most certainly
think about opinions.
You don't have to have the right opinion to do your own podcast.
But I have a lot of fun talking about the issues with like Chloe and with my best friend Michaela. Like we have really good, really in-depth conversations, and afterward I'm like, wow, I wish everybody would just talk like that.
That's exactly what happened with us.
You know?
Yeah. So yeah.
Our big things, like I said, like I was saying before, like my biggest thing is the whole Roe versus Wade thing right now.
Yeah.
Abortion
issue.
Yeah, because that's really scary.
Yeah, because we gotta overturn that thing as quickly as possible.
Yeah, of course. Make it hard as possible for women.
We got to save those babies so we can not give a fuck about them when they're grown or when they're grown up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. That's where I got really, really heated, and then I don't know. Something happens every day.
Yeah.
Goddamn right.
True.
Have an opinion on. So.
Well, I think it's great. And we would do whatever we could to help you out.
Any help that you need, we are, that we can offer.
I will warn you about one thing though.
Okay.
Once you start doing a podcast, you'll realize that it's a real bummer to have a conversation without a microphone in front of you. No, but it's true, because you'll start having.
This is so good.
You'll be like, I will be having a conversation with somebody, and I just want to be like, fucking put the brakes on. Let me get the camera, because this is too good for us to not be recording it.
For us to just be casually exchanging these words.
And you always wind up in these situations like anything that Matt and I do together now. Like we'll be like, fuck. We should have the fucking camera right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we try to like I'm like, okay, so remember we were saying this, retell it, and then it's like,
it's not as easy.
It's hard. Yeah, you can't capture the
can't get the magic.
Put the genie back in the bottle.
But it's even with other people, like when I'm working at 9th Street or whatever, I'll be having a conversation with somebody and be like, God damn, you're so interesting. I really wish like we could have just had be doing this as the podcast.
And I'm a shut-in these days, so I don't run into those people anymore.
I don't know if
I did meet
about it on here. I don't remember if I did or not, but if I haven't, shout out to the priest. Get a hold of me, man. I had this awesome conversation one night with sitting at the bar. It was really slow, and there was a guy who came in, and he was a priest, and he was wearing the white collar and everything, and he sat down and whatever, and he's like, after a while, he said, "Oh yeah, well, I'm a priest," and I said, "Really? I fucking thought you were a lawyer." Yeah. And he's like,
I thought that was a costume.
Yeah, it was funny. And then, but then we had an interesting conversation, and I mean, like, we're getting into, religion, and it was interesting. And I was like, God damn, you'd be awesome on the podcast. And he like wrote it all down and whatever. So he said he was going to hit me up.
And I met an interesting couple the other day. I was picking up furniture, go figure. Or was I dropping off? No, I was dropping off furniture. And
that's not a euphemism. He was actually he was not just taking a poop. He was actually dropping off furniture.
I know.
And they knew I was there. I was not stealing. No, but so I'm dropping off this piece of furniture, and she works for the band for Mille Lacs, and I think she's like,
yeah, I heard they broke up.
CEO or something.
The band?
They took the music off Spotify.
Dad joke.
So she works for the Mille Lacs band.
No shit. Yeah, the Mille Lacs band of Ojibwe has also taken their shit off Spotify.
Well, and her husband used to work for have some cool job with NBC, I think it was, and traveled all over the world and shit. And I was, you know, and I only talked to these people for like 10 minutes, but I'm like, fuck, I didn't want that 10 minutes to be over, and I'm like, I need more of these interesting people, you know, and so like that is one of the things that makes like having a podcast fucking beautiful. Like you don't get to have these conversations like every day. Oh my gosh,
I was gonna say, it seems like when I want to talk, the things I want to talk about, like even with Dan, I'll be like, you know, like so-and-so said something, isn't that so stupid? And he's like, I don't know what you want me to say. And I'm like, I guess I just want to have a conversation with somebody, like, who doesn't seem irritated that I'm always talking about this, or like that I'm so passionate about it. Or
and the greatest thing, like for us, not a lot of people watch this show. We don't have a lot of listeners.
You say that, but you know we have quite a few, but again,
a couple dozen.
We say a couple. Jesus Christ! Do you even look at the fucking analytics, Kyle?
No, I don't.
We have.
I mean, if I did, I wouldn't know what I was looking at.
We have 300 or 400 people either listen or watch the show every time it comes out, which is not a huge audience.
It's not nothing.
But it's not nothing. We've said all the time though. As much as we love our viewers, we don't do it for you.
Yeah.
You're a little bit important because without you, we might not do it, right? But we're not doing it for you. We're doing it for us. And you being out there just kind of gives us a reason to do it. So, like,
that's a good way to say it.
If you do it when you do it that way, it's just always fun.
It's like so often it's really like therapeutic and cathartic and shit like that. Like I'll be like, God, I need to get this off my fucking chest. We got to talk about this like now, and we'll fucking do it. And you're like, oh shit, thank God, so much better. You know, because like you can write it, you can put it on Facebook and shit, but actually like just vomiting all that shit out, you know, and knowing that like some people out there are going to see it, and it's just. It makes it so much better.
Well, if you enjoy doing this, you're more than welcome to come back because we need to have many more segments of Ask Our Black Friend. So
that's true.
I'll be the black friend. I am lots of people's black friend.
Yeah. Someday we're gonna do like we're gonna figure out how to do the split screen thing and shit like that. I'm sure the technology exists out there somewhere, but
there's an app for that.
But it would be fun to be like, you know what we need to do?
Ask our black friend.
Yeah. Ask a black friend.
Pop down in the corner.
So I didn't want to I don't want to beat the Joe Rogan horse to death, but I just wanted to bring it back to that and talk just a little bit, because the one argument that I have heard that I think is a legitimate argument for Joe taking making some changes in his podcast is that with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah,
and that's valid, because he didn't intend to have that power, but neither did Spider-Man. You know what I mean? So
also I feel like the people that have been so critical of him when he makes moves like this, I mean, I think that should be acknowledged. You know, I really feel like that should be acknowledged.
When he makes moves like what? When he recognizes that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, anyone should be fucking acknowledged when they're like, you know what? I fucked up, you know, like.
Well, and even him saying like that he doesn't on the other thing with Neil Young leaving and everything. He's like, look, I get it. I've done, I've had these guys on. I've done this, whatever. I'm not pushing an agenda. I'm like, just trying to have these interesting conversations. But I probably haven't done a real good job of getting other counter views on my show, at least not in the same time period. So I can probably do a little better. And he's like, I don't have a scheduler. I just schedule whoever the fuck I want to. So I'll work on that. I'll try to make some changes and make things a little better. But and I like that because Joe Rogan doesn't really fucking need to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And keep in mind, he doesn't have to do shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, can you imagine if all of a sudden we had to fucking edit ourselves or monitor ourselves or fucking it would kind of ruin it for us.
Well, that's
so I'm
exactly
sure his job is getting less fun for him. Now, granted, he also just got $100 million or whatever from Spotify.
Yeah, but it can't be about the money. It really can't be for him anymore. I mean, he's got enough fucking money.
Yeah, he's already fucking loaded, But I mean, so when he started this thing and he does this thing and it's his passion.
I mean, it's literally a side gig.
I mean, if it wasn't about money, you'd think he wouldn't have been like, I'll go with the top buyer. You think he would have put it on every single platform so that more people would be able to listen to him if it wasn't about the money?
I don't think so. I think that like I don't no. That's like saying like they were willing to give him a shit pile of money to go on to Spotify, but it didn't change anything about what he had to do. He didn't, and actually in retrospect it really is kind of changing things. Like now he's whatever, but before he was just doing YouTube and doing his own thing. But he was still making a fucking shit pile of money doing it. He has 11 million people listen to his show every episode. That's a lot of fucking people. He was already making a lot of money, and he was willing to sell it over. I think having all of this shit go on now, it is like affecting him, and he's got to make these changes. What was I going to say about that? But if he did, or if we had to start really being, think about what we said. Okay, here's a good example. We had our first episode of Progressive Preppers last week, right? Or last time we got together.
Mm-hmm. It was like brand new territory.
We're going to try to make that, family friendly, or at least we're going to try not to drop the cunt bomb on it, right? Or F bomb or whatever it is. I can't remember the word.
All of them.
But yeah, and we started out, and within 30 seconds, one of us said fuck or shit or web balls. So he's like, God damn it. So we needed to start over. So we started over, and we did our half an hour talk or whatever. And it was like, Kyle was super nervous, and he kept on I started stammering and shit just like I did when we first started doing this, which I've pretty much got rid of. Yeah, because we're just having a conversation now. Yeah. But sure enough, it was just us. It was in the same place. Like, we could have sat down at a table, did an episode of Spitballing, and I wouldn't have struggled a bit. But I felt like a stammering goddamn idiot. And it's and I think it was because we were trying to to edit ourselves, trying to be a little more professional, whatever. And it's not that we shouldn't do that. We should do that show. That show's going to be fucking fun. But if we were trying to do this show that way, it would never work. This has to be just a free-flowing conversation. Yeah, it wouldn't be therapeutic for me. And it has to be unedited. And that's the other thing about Joe Rogan's show. The Joe Rogan Experience is completely unedited. They start recording and they stop recording. If somebody gets up and goes to the bathroom, they don't edit it out.
I think that's all really important. Yeah. But like you said, great power, great responsibility.
Yeah. And I think
you have to.
I think he's gotten the message. And, I think he's doing a better job. I don't think Joe Rogan is actually the center of this controversy. I think it's more the people reacting to what's happening to him. Well, that's what I was thinking, too. Literally nothing to do. Because, I personally don't feel any grievance towards him, especially after. Yeah, I don't think it's about his character at all. It's literally more to do with, people going, don't tell him what he can and can't do, and, this should or shouldn't be on it. It's this is not even the issue. I was a little pissy about all of the people who had Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, had given him kudos. I saw that. And then, but actually he didn't though. If you look at it, what happened is Joe put out the thing that said, "Hey, I heard I hear what Neil Young and whatever that other bitch's name is." I can't remember what her name is. I just can't. Joni Mitchell. Yeah, I heard what they said, and I get it, and I'm going to try to do a little bit better. And The Rock said, "Hey, I heard what you said. That's great job. Very articulate. Good Thank you, brother." Yeah. And then this other thing came out, and somebody jumped all over The Rock, and he said, "Oh, thank you for pointing that out." Blah 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 blah. I hadn't known that or hadn't seen that part of it or whatever. And then they're like, The Rock abandons Joe, blah, blah, blah. That's not what happened. He was just basically saying he doesn't want, he didn't know. Yeah. And then I keep on reading these articles where they're saying, Joe Rogan is putting out, is a peddler of misinformation or, whatever. And it's Joe Rogan has had on guests that say things that are contrary to the fucking, current consensus. That's what's happened. He's on a peddler of misinformation. So it's just like that with everything. I mean, getting into the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing, which we don't want to fucking beat that horse again. But, you know, there was like, it was just all of the things the way
you can beat that horse in Wisconsin.
Oh my God.
You can stab it to death in Wisconsin.
Apparently you can shoot it if it looks at you funny.
Fucking Wisconsin. It's a weird place.
It is a weird place. I was just at the hotel in California, and I was going to get ice, and the ice machine said Manitowoc, right?
Manitowoc, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's where Making a Murderer came from.
Brendan Dassey.
Yes, and I was like, fucking Manitowoc.
Yeah.
What? Why is there a piece of Wisconsin in California? And then I looked it up. Fuck, Manitowoc apparently makes fucking ice machines, and they're based in Manitowoc, Wisconsin.
You know, I goddamn. By the way, Crime Junkie.
Oh no,
that's a different one. I have yet to watch that show.
Making a Murderer?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
I
great
haven't
one.
seen. I've seen like 90% of it.
I've heard it's.
God damn it. Well, thanks for tuning into the podcast. I lost the last 2 minutes of this, but you didn't miss much. We just talked a little bit more about Making a Murderer, and we got Aria to agree to come back on to be our black friend. So thanks for tuning in again, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you.
I got the blues so bad one time it put my face in a permanent frown. You know I'm feeling so much better I could cakewalk into town. I woke up this morning feeling so good, you know I laid back down again. Throw your big leg over me, mama, I just might not feel this good again. My baby, oh my baby, I love the way she walks. When my girl gets sleepy, I love the way she baby talks. My work done got scarce, honey, all my work, it done got hard. I spent the whole day stealing chickens, mama, from the rich folks' yard. I got the blues so bad one time it put my face in a permanent frown. Now I'm feeling so much better I could cakewalk into town. I wanna go on a picnic in the country, mama, and stay all day. I don't care if I don't do nothing, just while my time away. I got the blues so bad one time it put my face in a permanent frown. You know I'm feeling so much better I could cakewalk into town.